everybody. It is April 18th. It is 7 o'clock. I'm going to call this meeting of the Romeo Board of Trustees to order. Would you all please silence your phones and stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
If we could take off any caps or hats we're wearing while we're respect to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. As you may have noticed, Catherine is not here tonight. She is out on medical. She's in the hospital, and we wish her speedy recovery. Caroline Miller, I don't know if everybody knows Caroline or not. She is here tonight, so I'd like a motion to approve Caroline Miller to take the minutes for tonight's meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Wait, so I'm gonna, I think Bob said motion first. Justin, I think, supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you, Caroline, for attending and helping us out with that chart tonight. When you're ready, could you call the roll for me?
Bartholomew,
Here.
Edwards,
Here.
Fowler,
Yes.
Hart,
Here.
Parker, Parker,
Here.
Poznansky, here, President Molzon.
Here. We have a quorum. Thank you. Next up on the agenda is the consent agenda. Catherine is not here, so I do not have the closed session meeting minutes that are listed in that consent agenda. So we'll need to remove those, and then we'll bring that back at the next meeting when she has those ready. Otherwise, in the agenda, we have the minutes from March 21st and the special meeting from March 30th. We have council bills in the amount of $74,447.87, and the vendor report, which totals $274,532.53, as well as a meeting agenda.
On the consent agenda, is that when we can either add or delete something from the agenda?
If you wish to pull something from the meeting agenda, from the consent agenda, like the meeting agenda, yes, you could ask to have that removed.
Okay, I'd like to, before we approve the bills here, to remove under new business, F, marijuana license transfer request, until legal has a complete opportunity to review the information that was submitted by email.
Well, the information that we're going to talk about on item F is not related to the item that you have in the email. So I think the discussion is worth having on item F.
Okay.
Whether we choose to vote on it or not is a different story, but I certainly think the information is okay to present. So is it- Well, if you want to make a motion,
Yes, I'd like to
we
make that
certainly can
motion.
vote on that. Yep.
Yes, I'd like to make the motion that we remove it.
Okay, so we have a motion by Fowler. Do we have support?
I'll support.
We have a motion by Fowler to remove item F with support by Parker. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Opposed?
Opposed.
Motion fails. Okay. So we will leave the agenda as presented. Can I get a motion to approve the other items in the consent agenda?
I'd like to pull out meeting minutes from the 21st. And then if Catherine's not here, I don't know if we'll be able to follow up on some of the check registry stuff from last month, and then also some stuff on this month.
I do have the Chase credit card bill, so if it's pertaining to that, I should be able to go over those questions for you. But we can pull out the minutes from March 21st, and then, so we might as well just take these in order.
Everything in order, yeah.
Yes, so let's tackle the minutes from March 21st first. You have some corrections to those?
The only concern is the last page, last agenda item, discussing the FOIA, the legal action taken. The wording in here says that myself and trustee Poznansky refused to comply with the state of Michigan FOIA Act. I don't believe that should be worded in that way. It's kind of slanderous because there's no evidence or proof that even says we didn't comply with any law. It was her opinion, so I'd like that changed to just say we had a discussion about the FOIAs, because there's nothing stating that we did not comply with that law.
I would also like to make a correction on the first page. This
Well,
was
let's,
a simple correction.
what are we putting on that line item?
It's just discussion held regarding the FOIAs. I wouldn't like,
Okay, trustee Parker and Poznanski.
discussion was held
FOIA.
regarding FOIA requests, but
FOIA
nothing
requests.
about refusal to comply with the State of Michigan FOIA Act.
Okay, we gotta get the wording here, though.
Yeah.
So discussion was held in regards to trustee Parker and trustees Poznanski's compliance to the State of Michigan FOIA Act.
I think
I wouldn't even say
discussion was
compliance,
held
just
to cover it.
discussion about the FOIAs, period.
Usually, she notes just.
I don't know if you
discussion
want
was
to,
held.
somebody want to draft that and then submit that in writing to Catherine? And we can bring back these
Well-
minutes to next month then?
No, discussion was held is good.
Yeah. Discussion was held.
Trustee Parker.
Well, I sort of disagree with that because it was specifically in regards to both you and
Yeah,
trustee Poznanski.
yeah, FOIAs, yeah, discussion held regarding trustee Ponansky, trustee Parker's FOIA request. Nothing about the state law, because that was her opinion.
Well, again, it was in regards to compliance with the FOIA request. I agree that we can take out the word refusal if you find that inflammatory, but the item discussion was compliance from you two for the FOIA.
I'm going to disagree, but that's, yeah, we need to remove the,
Okay, we take the word refusal out?
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be Poznanski's compliance.
Discussion was held in regards to trustee Parker and trustee Poznanski compliance with the State of Michigan FOIA Act.
I'll support that.
thank you.
Megan, did you have something you needed to change on page 1, you said?
Yes, please.
And what was that?
Under the consent agenda, that first motion made by Edwards, it is seconded by Parker, not Poznanski.
Okay. Anything else? Otherwise, the motion to approve the minutes with those two amendments for the March 21st meeting.
I'll move.
Support. Go ahead.
We have a motion by Hart. We have support by Bartholomew. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I oppose.
Okay, the special meeting minutes for March 30th. Any discussion on those or a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion by Hart,
Support.
support by Edwards. Any discussion? If hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed?
I do also oppose.
Okay. 5 to 2. All right. Does anybody want to know what their vote in opposition was regarding, or?
Gotta fix something.
I don't like the way you set up the meeting. It was supposed to be a special town hall meeting, and we ended up
But
doing
they're
bills.
the minutes to the meeting.
I don't like it. I voted no.
Okay.
There's no discussion needed.
Okay, council bills, $74,447.87. Discussion or questions, or a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the bills as stated. Support.
Motion by Edwards, we have support by Bartholomew. Discussion?
Yeah, I'm still requesting printed copies of everything instead of the email, because I can't open them.
Again, those are the ancillary reports. I want everybody who's calling and questioning me to know what specifically those reports are for, and that they really have nothing to do with these bills. There's no supporting documentation in any of those reports. There's the fire run.
I don't know,
It's
'cause
the
I
sewer
can't
run.
open 'em.
They're all labeled, fire run, sewer run, police report.
So I can go based off the label. That's what we're saying. Still, I don't know what's in them. I can't support
You
it.
can't open the PDF?
No, I've been saying it for months, Bob.
How about other PDFs?
Business, what is with your business? Has somebody ever sent you a
That's
PDF?
It's stuff from the village, and I've made it, clarified it with the office for months. It's not an argument we need to have right now.
I would say, if you want to put in writing that you cannot open up a PDF
I
file, then I
have,
would,
I have, and I've requested them to be included in my packet.
all of the reports?
Yes.
You want every one of them printed?
Yes, and it's been denied.
Okay.
I print them for you.
All right, so we have a motion by Edwards, we have support by Bartholomew to pay the bills totaling $74,447.87. Any other discussion?
You mentioned that you have the credit card verification.
Mm-hmm.
Can we hear it?
Sure, which month would you like? I brought January, February, and March.
Well, there was a total of 3,000 some odd dollars that wasn't accounted for.
It was like 28.
Last month's Chase credit card bill was $2,888.72.
And the expenditures,
So one, I'll go through that list. For clarification purposes. So when the bills and the checks are submitted, Rebecca cuts them and she attaches all of the supporting documentation. Every receipt for this credit card travels through the office with that check that is signed by the clerk, myself, or the treasurer. It's two of the three of us that sign those checks. So I just want everybody to know that there is a checks and balances in place when this goes through. It's just not a check that somebody signs randomly. So, the supporting documentation for the $2,888.72. There was an order on January 18th that was for USB flash drives, so that was to fulfill FOIA requests. That was $21.24. We have a desk lamp that was ordered from Amazon, office bulbs, and a USB charging port. That was $57.98. Disposable paper cups, 100-pack premium cafe cups with black lids. That's the grab-and-go travel size. That was $35.99. We had a $325 registration fee for the Capitol Conference. Let's see. We have an $80 regional conference for zoning compliance conference registration. Citizen planner that was attended by both Clerk Trapp and Ms. Wilson, that was $250. We had office supplies purchased from Sam's Club, that was for some soap, some paper towels, and a $45 membership renewal. We had a wastewater treatment purchase for $380 plus $7.60 in shipping. That was that Al ordered. It just says industrial stormwater. I'm not sure what that expenditure was for.
We did all of our stormwater licensing.
Okay.
and this stuff comes out to your facility, you guys sign for it?
We're renewing a stormwater license
No.
online with the state,
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And it's delivered out to your place, though, correct?
They'll deliver the renewed
Okay.
licenses, yeah.
There's a task chair, an adjustable task chair that was ordered, $245.54. We had some supplies for the snowman out front, that was $12.99. We had a tablecloth, that was $13.47. We had some tall trash kitchen bags, $12.98. There was a Pavilion desktop PC, that was $429 for the police department. $190.67 for a renewal notice for the village software. That was Accurat Pro. That functions only on my computer. We just have one license for that. There was some other bunting flags and some material that was $18.99, again for the snowman. There was replacement batteries. That was $45.99. There's a battery for the cordless vacuum cleaner that doesn't work. There was a wireless mouse that was ordered for a laptop, that was $11.99. We had some toner cartridges for $25.99. There was wastewater treatment meeting supplies, office supplies, and that was for the Candace Miller wastewater treatment plant tour, $40.26. Another black high-yield toner cartridge for the office, $98.89. There was police department computer software, WinZip Pro Suite that was purchased for the police department. Doesn't say what that amount is for. I just have the item number. Post office was here for the mailing of the newsletter, $398. And then all the supporting documentation for that mailer.
Well,
So, anybody want to tally that up or
All this
see any of
material comes to
this?
the office to 121 West St. Clair, and if nobody's there, it goes to the police department, and they make sure you get it?
Yes,
Okay.
typically, right,
All right.
most deliveries are made during the business day, and we get it.
Just for
But yes, if
accountability.
it does come on the weekend, it is delivered to the police department, and they walk it up front.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions on March or January? Okay.
Can we have these just included every month with the bills? maybe a tally, maybe not every single page, a tally of some sort included?
It's probably easier for her to bring it and go over it versus to try and scan and make copies of each one of those receipts, but
Okay.
sure,
Yeah, or at least
sure,
she's
we can
prepared for the
request
question.
that.
Took some time and included it, but. I go over it.
All right, were there any other questions regarding the $74,447.87? That motion was by Edwards, support by
On
Bartholomew.
the vendor activity report, 1, 2, 3, 4 lines down, Brady Business Systems. I was just wondering what that was for, and is that going to be a reoccurring charge?
Are you talking about the vendor report, with Stones, Gales,
Vendor
Next
activity
Tech?
report for the village, 1, 2, 3, 4th item down, vendor code 0407.
I believe that's a contract renewal for the copier maintenance. part of
That's the IT company out of Grand Blanc.
That's the people that actually own the copier. They have a maintenance program and we pay them yearly.
Okay. I just didn't know if they were doing anything else for us. I know they typically handle IT stuff, so.
All right. So, can you call the roll for me on the council bills and the vendor activity report?
Okay, so far you have the motion, Edwards and,
Support by Bartholomew,
correct?
yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Fowler.
Zach?
Oh, yeah.
Hart,
Yes.
Parker,
No.
Poznanski,
No.
President Malzahn?
Yes. I think you missed, the
Did I miss?
the motion and the support, that's okay. You missed Edwards and Bartholomew.
Oh, that's what I asked you first. The motion was,
Yes.
Yeah, but they
You
can
still
vote
need to
no.
call their names, so that's okay. So
They
just,
can make a motion and vote against it.
they can, okay. Bartholomew,
Yes.
Edwards.
Yes.
motion carries 5-0.
Glad we all didn't vote no.
Right. Quick approval of the meeting agenda as it is. I think
That'd be 5-2.
we already did that,
We
right?
voted no, it
Yes.
wasn't a 5-0.
Just
Yeah.
so she's.
Okay,
get her
5-0, got it. 5-2,
5-2.
5-2. Okay, up next, special presentations. We have Rob Cobalt from Documents on Demand. Did I say your name right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Welcome. Please stand at the podium when you're ready. I know you're got your.
I'm gonna do it from here,
Oh,
so I need
okay.
to connect to this, so
Okay.
I'll talk loud.
And we probably need to get a longer cord, so yes.
Bear with me because we're on Wi-Fi and I'm on my lap. So, my name is Rob Koval with Mariscan Imaging. We're actually a very local company located in Shelby Township. We specialize in document imaging, scanning service. We deal with municipalities quite a bit. That's one of our core competencies. And we created this product I'm going to show you today that there may be some interest for you guys. It's called Documents on Demand. Thank you. So what it is, it's a cloud-based document center that connects to your website. We're not trying to take anything away from your website. We're trying to make it a little more efficient, a little better. Very similar to what Municode does with your ordinance, we're going to try and do with documents. We have 80 clients in Michigan that utilize this application. We have close to 200 nationwide. So again, currently, of course, I'm on your website right now. If we were go to your minutes page, we have tonight's agenda and we have your meeting minutes right here. So what our application does is we're just a link on your website. So Bruce Township is a client. This is their homepage of their website. If I were to go down here, they have their link here. You can link it in multiple places. You can link to the main page, which is this here, the landing page. You can also link to any of these folders or any documents as well. So if any of your secondary pages on your website, let's say you had a village newsletter and you say click here to access the newsletter, you can go right to that folder and right to that set of documents instead of just the landing page. This folder structure is determined by you. You can start small, you can grow, there's no limit to the amount of folders, documents, users. But this is a in our world, very basic folder structure. So if I go to their agendas, here they are. We go to 2022, and we can click on their last agenda here. It opens up in this viewer. The purpose for that is, the main reason we created this application is to find information. So it's for everyone here in this meeting tonight, you guys internally, to go in here, to type in search words, find your own information, and really dig through your current and archived information. So if I were to type in the Village of Romeo, I want to search that exact phrase, and I hit search. It tells me we have 97 results for that exact phrase, and I can click on one of these results, and you can see here how it highlights that information for you. So it makes it really easy to find current and past information through your meeting minutes, ordinances, resolutions, again, really whatever type of documents you guys want to put into the application. Washington Township, also a client, but I want to show you somebody with some archives, actually the Village of Almont. If I go to their page, their meeting minutes, you can see they have quite the history here. And again, what we do when we launch a client is we'll take what you guys have electronically. So you guys are on the smaller side, so maybe you're only electronic back for 10 or 15 years. We'll take all those documents. We're going to create the page for you. We're going to do the initial document upload for you. On a day 4 basis, you guys maintain the page yourself. It's very simple, very user-friendly, so whether it's the clerk or an IT person that's uploading information to this page, it's as easy as it gets, and I can show you a demonstration of how that works too. But you can also scan and archive at your own pace too. So as you can see here, these are meeting minutes back from the 1930s here. These are handwritten minutes, so these are not going to be searchable, but they have their whole history available here, secure up in the cloud. It's not just in the vault or on the shelf. It's digital, and it's going to be here forever. So again, these are more just agendas and minutes. If I go to some of our other clients, this particular client here, they're in Colorado. Again, all of their various boards and commissions, they have meeting minutes and agendas. Now I can also go to ordinances here. So these ordinances, even though you might use Municode, they probably do Municode or General Code. There's a lot of codification companies. As ordinances and resolutions and proclamations get approved throughout your meetings, they will post them right after the meeting too. So these are up to date. They'll list them here by ordinance number, nice and orderly. Put a little description here of what that ordinance pertains to. The system also has email notification tab, so your residents, you guys internally, can sign up to folders of interest. So if you have this huge folder structure, maybe you just want to get the village council agenda and maybe the planning commission minutes, whatever it may be, you can subscribe, create an account, subscribe, and receive notifications every time a new document is added to the folder structure. Another client here I want to show you. Here they put permits and building information in here. So these are all building permits. So again, it's not just agendas and minutes that we can put in the application. It's really whatever document type you want. From here on this toolbar, I can download, I can print, I can rotate pages if they're uploaded crooked or the orientation's off. And the other neat thing that we do too, and this is a brand new feature, and this will pertain to some of the documents on your website, is we're launching, or we just launched, an auto OCR function. And what OCR is, it's for any document that's scanned. So if I were to go in here, and I noticed some of your older ones in here, these were scanned minutes. And if I were to search on this document right now, I type in Romeo, it tells me that this is a scanned PDF and cannot be searched. So basically this document here on your website was scanned in, uploaded to your website, and when you scan something, you're really just taking a picture of that. There's no text behind that image. It's just a picture of a piece of paper. So what OCR does, it stands for optical character recognition. OCR, when you upload into our system now, OCR is going to read all that text on any scanned document that's uploaded into our system. It's going to help you in a couple ways. One being searchable. The other one it's going to help you too is being ADA compliant. So if someone were to come to your website and try to read this document, someone that's visually impaired, they rely on screen readers, and this document would not be readable to them. So it's going to help you in a couple aspects. So we're using a technology actually through AWS, Amazon Web Services. It's called TextTrack. So it's an OCR engine through AWS. So again, when you guys upload documents, AWS will say, hey, the Village of Romeo uploaded a new document, or Washington Township, or Bruce, whoever it is, let's run TextTrack on this document, making that document searchable. Again, the user interface for whoever's uploading documents, it's really, really easy. There's no limit to the amount of users you guys can have internally. But basically right here, this is how easy it is. If I were to go to this meeting minute folder, it ends at 2017. This is just a demo page, but it's literally this easy to upload your current information. So we want to upload to this meeting minute folder. I want to upload a document. I'm going to go find that file on my computer. And I actually took you guys' minutes from February. I hit open. We changed the meeting date to match the day of the meeting. And the system, because it's 2022, the system will create a 2022 folder like so, place that document right inside of it. So that's how easy, whoever's uploading this on a day 4 basis, that's how easy it is to post a new document. It's also got an internal area, so for administration only, maybe some documents for closed session minutes might be an example. Some things that are going to be shared with the residents, you guys can have a internal area as well. This is backed up, or this is hosted up in Microsoft Azure. It's backed up on a daily basis, so everything's nice and secure up in the cloud. It's backed up in a different location as well. So again, it's just a online document center. Again, trying to make your website a little bit better. We've been doing this for a long time. One thing we notice with websites and municipal websites is whatever website company this is from, your contract will expire. You may go to another website company down the road. The nice thing is all we do is rebrand our page to match the look and feel of your new website. All your data migrates right with it. You don't have to worry about making sure all these documents are transferred over to the new website company or web host. Really, that is it.
So I have just a couple of questions, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
You're not actually doing the scanning then?
Correct, no.
You're just
But we can.
hosting, you just have the software that actually hosts it. So you can do the scanning, and what's the cost associated with that feature?
Scanning, it depends on how much you want to scan. We just scanned, and it's public information, so I can say it, Bruce Township, we just scanned $30,000 worth of scanning. We scanned all of their older planning commission, ZBA files. They're not putting all that into this yet, so it's just up on the server, but they got everything electronic, and they're going to try to figure out what's going to go into our application. Scanning rates can vary. There's so many variables, one of them being quality, quantity. Are we doing blueprints? Are we just doing 8.5 by 11? So there's a lot of variables to scanning, but if you guys need a quote, we'd be more than happy to come out and take a look.
Okay. And then I noted in the price quote that was for 2,000 pages, I believe.
2,000 documents.
2,000 documents, okay. And so, for instance, when you do Bruce Township, right, how many documents? 2,000 doesn't seem like it's very many when we're talking about Village Council, Planning Commission, HDC, and possibly the DDA.
Yep.
Knowing that our board packet is usually 50 pages or so.
Yes, so that's only one document though, that packet's one document, so if you
Okay, so
think-
not each page in the
No.
document,
So
okay,
you have 12 meetings a year, that's only 12 documents a year.
okay.
So 2,000 documents is a lot of documents, and then we're giving you 10 gigabytes of space, which space can vary, it depends on if it's scanned, if it's created in Word and converted to PDF, those are smaller files. If it's scanned information, they tend to be larger files. If you're scanning in color, they're even bigger. So the space is, you know, it's a variable. There's just too many variables to really tell you how much space, but 10 gigabytes is a lot of space for a municipality your size from past experience with other clients. You know, we have some small villages, you know, of 800 population, and it's 10 gigs in the last time a lifetime. But other ones are more aggressive, where they scan everything and they want it in color, and then you might start eating up more space. But beyond that, it's only $100 for each additional 10 gigabytes, so you can double that space for just another $100 annually.
Okay.
And when you log in, you can always tell where you're at, so we're not going to surprise you and say, oh, you hit your limit. So right here, there's a little bar here, tells you where you're at as far as space goes.
How much
too.
storage is Elmont using? You said it seemed like they had quite a bit of stuff.
Yeah, so they, 13 gig, so they're beyond the 10, but they have quite a few archives in here. So they did a lot of this. I haven't been on their page, to be honest with you, in a long time. So they've really taken advantage of their scanning and archiving. You know, they go back quite a way. And again, they have their ordinances in here. They have resolutions in here.
Okay.
And you did send the email, forward the email from you with the new quote.
Correct. So, being local and hometown, Shelby, Bruce, Washington are at a discounted rate, so it's $500 annually. There's a one-time small setup fee. What that entails is creating your page. We're going to train you guys. We have unlimited support. You're going to get really good support because we're only 8 miles away from you guys. Typically, we charge $750 annually, so pretty much everyone outside of Macomb County, that's what they're paying. So we're giving you guys a discounted rate as well. We were going to bump them up with the auto OCR, but we're going to let them stay at their 500, so they're going to be quote-unquote grandfathered in.
What was the setup cost?
$500.
500 setup and then 500 annually?
Correct. So the first year would be $1,000, then thereafter would be $500 annually. And again, that first year, we're going to create the page. We're going to upload up to 2,000 documents. We're going to create your folder structure, train as many of you as we need to, and train you guys over and over as many times as we need to.
To do projects like you just said you did for Bruce, would you come out and quote something like that? Or?
Yeah, we have to take a look. Yeah, like I said, scanning, there's so many variables, and the two main ones is quantity drives down cost, and the other one is paper quality. So if we got a bunch of papers with curled up edges, scanners don't really like them. So it's a lot of it is the paper quality, how much indexing we're doing. So we'll index each file. It's pointless to scan something if you can't find it quick and efficiently afterwards. So the indexing is crucial, how you're naming each document once it's scanned.
So
But yeah,
you would come out to us? And
Yeah,
do the
just come out.
scanning, you wouldn't take the documents off-site?
No, we would if you guys wanted to move forward, yeah. So we'll come out, quote it, say, hey, it's gonna be X amount of dollars. Do you guys wanna do it all? Do you wanna just do a portion? What we're looking for the most, so we can, there's a lot of different variables. Set up a schedule, we can forward X amount of dollars annually or quarterly or whatever you want.
Just have a question as far as in the future, once all this has been up, let's say for 2 years, we've been doing this, all our information's up there. We still own the information.
Yes.
If your company were to go, we just wouldn't have the searchability, but everything that's up in the cloud, we'd have access to.
Correct.
Our files.
And it happens. I mean, there's bigger and badder software out there. There's agenda management software out there that'll cost you $10,000 a year that'll do this as well. And we've lost a few clients to those bigger companies. So basically, yeah, we'll give you a link to all your data. You click on this link, and it'll download every document in your repository for you.
Okay, so we wouldn't have any searchability, that's
No.
all what you're bringing to the table?
Correct.
But we wouldn't have to scan or recreate anything?
And we give you everything in the format you uploaded it in. So whatever you do, we're not gonna give you any manipulated data. It's all the original
Right,
stuff.
the PDFs and TIFF
Correct.
files or?
Correct, Word or JPEG or whatever it is.
JPEGs, right, okay.
We prefer PDF for the searchability,
Yeah.
but you can upload all those file types into the system.
Any other questions? Or any questions from anybody in the audience regarding the service? All right. I
So you guys have a
appreciate that.
proposal? If there's future questions, just let me know and we can get those answered. If you guys want pricing on scanning, let me know on that and we can come out and take a look at what you have and get you guys digital. But keep in mind too, you guys can also scan and archive at your own pace. So you can start going, year by year with your meeting minutes and start putting them in the system. We'll show you how to do that.
Okay.
Okay? Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Moving on, item number 6 is public comment. So I just want to make a statement because it's a little bit unclear. I think a lot of times we're pretty open to the public having input when we actually get to agenda items. So while certainly it's public comment time and you're welcome to come to the podium and speak to us on behalf of any of the agenda items or any matter at hand, if and when we get to that agenda item and you feel you want to share some thoughts or some insights, if you would just raise your hand, I'll do my best to recognize you and let you speak at that time. So, because a lot of times we get to some dialogue and we may have already answered your question or questions may arise from based on what our conversation is. So know that that's an option. So with that said, is there anybody right now that wishes to offer any public comment? Yes, sir. Would you come over and maybe push that a little bit forward and please share your name for the record.
Okay, push this forward.
Well, you can stand there if you want. If you feel like you're in a corner, you can come a little bit forward. There you go.
Right there?
Whoops. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Robert S. Huth Jr. I'm a municipal lawyer, fortunate enough to sit with councils around the state, and wanted to speak to you about, as the president said, have the opportunity to talk about matters at hand, not necessarily something that was on your agenda this evening. But I represent one of the applicants that went through the process and has been awarded, or is on the path to being awarded, a retail marijuana license pursuant to MRTMA. Their concern is, and sometimes these rumors come around the communities and they're not founded, but they're concerned that this council may get pressure from other folks that say, take a look at the ordinance, redo it, start the process over. And their concern is that, gee, we've gone through the process that you put out there. We followed the rules that you set out there. Don't pull the rug out from under us and change things now that we're doing a substantial investment. And I say maybe the concern that Mr. Clark has and that I've had representing municipalities is since this is so new, the marijuana regulatory laws, the opportunity for folks like you to do ordinances, that it's tough to know what our courts are thinking about the actions the local groups have taken. So if you sit at this table here and you're asked to give advice here, sometimes it's hard to direct what would happen if we faced litigation challenging the people that won. Well, what's started to happen is the Michigan Court of Appeals is issuing opinions. And there haven't been many, but there was one last week. And in that case, the village of Pinckney litigation was brought by folks that complained that they didn't win, they didn't prevail. So they dragged Pinckney into court to ask them to redo the process, start it over so somebody else could get a chance. And it's interesting, we have lawyers practicing in this field, had not gotten much direction from the Court of Appeals because it's new, it takes a while to get to the Court of Appeals. But I won't bore you with it, but I'm going to give you just a couple things the court said in ruling for Pinckney. Courts should afford substantial deference to the local governments when construing municipal ordinances. As a home rule state, Michigan local governments possess tremendous authority over local affairs, such that the power is not going to be presumed or prohibited. Courts will continue to respect the anatomy of Michigan municipalities. Accordingly, the court finds that the person suing Pinckney is not going to prevail. These, as you can imagine, these lengthy pleadings don't often have humor in it, but I just wanted to read this last quote. The person that sued Pinckney and was found against it, the court said their case goes up in smoke. So I want you to give that some consideration. I'd like you to take a look at the investment, the work the people that followed your rules did to get an application and go down the road to appropriately following the rules here, and ask you not to change the rules. Don't pull the rug out from under people that played by those rules. And thank you very much for your consideration tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Was there anybody else who wanted to offer public comment at this time? Going once, going twice?
In response to Mr. Robert's comments here. And after reading the documentation that we all have, I'm one of the trustees that is questioning what's going on. I mean, from the email that we received 2 Fridays ago, I'm looking here at the email from Karen Trapp's email to some of the parties that got the application, indicating that their application was incomplete. The engineer stamp wasn't done. I mean, so per our rules, that application is supposed to be rejected. So, and this isn't me making this documentation up. This is from our clerk's email itself. So it's just some of the stuff that's out there and that we have to deal with as this body. That's what I have to say.
Good evening. Christine Constantino, Jr. Just to also respond, I was going to wait until the matter is at hand, but I am here today to object to this board taking any further action on behalf of the licenses that were granted. As the board's aware, there was a letter dated March 24th, 2022, which dated the violations of the 2 subject ordinances that were violated in granting the license to the subject awarded licensee. And we will be bringing litigation on that front. So we are here today to object to any further movement on that license.
Okay. You are from, I'm sorry.
Scott Roberts.
Anybody else want to offer public comment?
I would.
Hello, Council. It's Kurt Gore. I am one of the applicants that did receive the awarding of the license. As the first attorney pointed out, and I've been through this numerous times, applying in many different municipalities, some which I was awarded a license and some which I was denied a license. Prior to looking at applying in Romeo, I was very impressed by not only the attorney but the council and the review of the application process. And I believe it would be very detrimental, as I've seen numerous times in numerous different communities, to allow change to occur. Change usually at that point ensues lawsuits. And this is, in this industry, this is now perpetuating. Every municipality that has the awarding of licenses, there are unsuccessful people. Those unsuccessful people seem to want to immediately file suit. That's their answer to every denial. File suit. We didn't like the way it went. We weren't first in line. And it makes individuals like us, I get very emotional, who have spent just thousands of hours in meetings like this trying to substantiate my cause and what I've done, and at many times being called out personally in inappropriate ways about the way we went about doing certain things. And I just find it very offensive. But to that, again, I get emotional. I think that this council has done a wonderful job in laying out the application process and it's substantiating why it should continue without threats from individuals that are unsuccessful in their application procedure. And that's my opinion. And again, I appreciate everything that council and the attorney has done to support this process. And I appreciate the time to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Anyone else wanted to offer public comment?
Yeah, I have a rebuttal. I'm not against the applicant itself. The process of which happened out of our department, and that's our problem of what we did. And that's the problem that I have. I'm not talking about your application. If we allowed you to skip a step or two, that's our fault.
But you did at numerous times call our group out at inappropriate times by name, not by company, asked us to move our building over to accommodate one of the other applicants. You did that specifically. And
I want to sort of keep order because we have a really long agenda. And while we are welcome to hearing your public comments, I think that may be time when we get to that agenda item if we needed to discuss things further. So I appreciate your feedback very much. Let's just sort of refocus and keep things going. Okay. I'm going to move on to our officer reports. Again, I'll apologize for the length of mine. March and April have been an extraordinarily busy month for me. I'll go into detail as we discuss each of the 13 agenda items tonight, but wanted to highlight a few other things that you need updating on. So first, I wanted to really thank everybody who came to attend our special roads and goals and objectives meeting on March 30th. The attendance was exceeded my expectations, and the residents' input and feedback will be instrumental in guiding us through the next steps. I have asked Clerk Trapp to put the presentation for the road funding options on our website in case anyone needs to reference that data. The meeting is also available to watch on the MIT-TV Facebook page or on Roku. So if you missed any of those important discussion points, please, I encourage you to watch those, because roads is definitely something that we're going to need to address soon. The Romeo Washington Bruce Chamber of Commerce hosted its annual State of the Community Luncheon on March 22nd. Thank you to Kelly Stevens for the opportunity to speak and showcase the many good things happening here in Romeo, including our growing fund balance, the ADA compliant pedestrian crosswalk project, the new Church Street parking lot, ongoing sidewalk repairs, and the installation of the new sidewalk connector along 32 Mile Road from Bradley Street up to Copperwood Commons, just to name a few. I was also able to introduce DDA Executive Director Elizabeth Miller and share a few of the amazing collaborative ideas that the DDA and the village are working on together. Attendees were just as excited to learn the positive things happening here as I was to share them. So thank you for everybody who attended that. The SEMCOG, the Southeast Michigan Council of Governments, held its annual General Assembly on March 24th. For the last 2 years, I have served on their executive committee as one of 2 delegates from Macomb County for the village and city category. For anyone that is not familiar with SEMCOG, their primary function is to support local planning through its technical, data, and intergovernmental resources. The work SEMCOG does improves the quality of the region's water, makes the transportation system safer and more efficient, revitalizes communities, and spurs economic development. They actively work with our state legislators to bring awareness to them of the needs of all municipalities, both big and small. I am excited to report that during the business portion of the General Assembly meeting, I was nominated and re-elected to serve another 2 years on that executive committee, along with Laura Kopp, Mayor of Mount Clemens. The Great Lakes Water contract negotiations began on Friday, March 25th. Alarmingly, the data for Romeo's usage, exceedances, peak flow, and peak day, if not addressed, was showing a 127% increase. That's an increase of approximately $328,000. Yikes. Once DPW Supervisor Tim Metz and I wrapped our heads around that number, we immediately went to work to dig in to the WAMR and SCADA data and engage HRC in figuring out what happened. Great Lakes Water Authority gave us 2 weeks to find and present an explanation for the exceedances and report back. I cannot thank Tim Metz enough for the work he did on this. Each one of you should thank him for the work he did on this detective work. I gave him no choice but to figure it out, and he did. He reached out to our larger users on the system and was able to find that Ford internally was testing its fire suppression system dating back to 2018. He had to go back 4 years in time to find this information during a time of day that it shouldn't have been doing that testing, as well as finding documentation from Ford's records that they had a faulty sensor that resulted in the cooling tower being filled in peak hours. I did send that information to Great Lakes Water Authority, and at our second negotiation meeting, which was held on April 8th, they agreed to remove the exceedances with a few contingencies, one of them being we need to update our water usage ordinance, limiting the hours during which our users can water for lawn irrigation. And the second is sending a letter to Ford so that a shared understanding of internal water processes will not result in additional exceedance during the months of June, July, and August. If Romeo meets the contingencies offered by Great Lakes Water, it looks like we can anticipate only a 4% rate increase instead of a 127% increase. So we dodged a bullet there.
That's huge.
Thank you, Tim. He's not even here, but I've been thanking him and thanking him, yes.
Good work.
The Macomb County Board of Commissioners held a reconsideration hearing on April 7th to receive updated information for Romeo's annexation request of Mr. Zahowski's Armada Township property. Thank you to trustees Poznansky and Parker for their attendance in support of Romeo. It was helpful while I presented the case for Romeo to the commissioners to have a positive team behind me. The commissioners voted by a 10-3 vote in favor of hearing arguments for this item at their next regular board meeting. That meeting is scheduled for April 28th at 7 p.m. All are welcome to attend. That meeting is held at the county building in Mount Clemens. The DPW recently discovered an issue with about 75 utility bills from the current billing cycle affecting users with multiple units. Former accountant Tim Sadowski intentionally accessed the system and altered the rates for these users, resulting in inaccurate invoices being issued. His actions were a direct violation of our internal work order policy and procedure. Legal counsel has been consulted on this matter. But Chris Pilarski, our utility billing clerk, is currently issuing corrected statements to the users who received incorrect ones. We apologize for any inconvenience and confusion caused by this matter. The Romeo Washington Bruce Parks and Rec hit it out of the park once again with their Easter egg hunt last week. Attendance was record-setting. I heard 2,800 people or so. You couldn't even see the turf on Barnabo Field. And the social media posts gave glowing reviews to how well organized and fun this event was. Thank you to Trustee Bartholomew for volunteering with me. We both were in charge of a game activity and enjoyed the interaction with the children. And I'm not sure about Nathan, but my knees and back are still a little sore from picking up that 4-pound bowling ball and resetting the egg pins about 500 times. But it was still fun, so thank you, Nathan.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Please mark your calendar plan to attend Romeo's second annual Arbor Day, Friday, April 29th. The event will kick off with one tree planting at Amanda Moore Elementary at 3:30. Then move to the Village Park for live music. The Lions are hosting a refreshment tent. There'll be guest speakers, food, and vendor booths. From there, you can join the dedication and ribbon cutting ceremony for a new tree, which is being planted in the Starkweather Garden area, and 2 memorial tree plantings at Kezar Library. Information can be found on the Romeo Tree Board's Facebook page, as well as posters and hanging in many of our downtown businesses. And I should point to my right to this amazing Tree City USA sign. Romeo was just awarded a Tree City USA status. I have this awesome plaque that will probably hang in the Village Hall. Recognize this. And then 2 of these outdoor signs, so we're anxiously looking for spots that they could be installed to proudly display that designation. So look for those. If anybody has some suggestions, that's great. I'm thinking one down by Tim Hortons or the Marathon Station heading into Romeo that way, and one by St. Paul's Church heading down 32 Mile Road. I'm heading into town that way. So if I don't hear any other suggestions, that's probably where they'll go.
Sounds good.
Yeah. As a reminder, GFL is now collecting yard waste. All yard materials must be placed curbside in separate waste bags. Tree branches should be tied into small bundles. Burn permits can also be obtained from the Bruce Township Fire Department during April and May, but you must call ahead of time. So if you're looking to get rid of that yard waste, now you can do that. And as always, I continue to hold regular office hours to meet with our property and business owners to address their concerns. If you have a concern, compliment, or complaint that you need assistance with, please call my office at 586-752-3565, and I'm at option 3. That completes my report for April. Clerk Trapp is not here. I don't believe she submitted any comments at this time. Okay, so we'll skip this one. Treasurer Maddox is not here, so we'll skip her treasurer report. Any of the trustees? One around the table. Okay.
I also attended the chamber lunch in the State of the Community. Of course, it was always, as always, a grand event. Kelly always outdoes herself, and we had fabulous speakers and all 3 of our representatives from the 3 communities there to speak, so that was grand, very nice to have. I've done some education. I'll just go through it really quick. I did some planning and zoning essentials. I did a couple MSU, fiscally ready communities, has to do with financial best practices and rethinking local government budgeting. From there, I would like to talk about the Chalk the Walk. It's a DDA event, weekends in May. We're having a special kickoff at the Arbor Day event that Ms. Malzahn just talked about. Basically, I put up chalk in front of all the businesses that want to participate, and everybody the whole weekend writes all over the sidewalk, great happy things. Then we pick it up and we do it again the next week. We will be having a special guest artist on the 14th and the 15th. There's a local artist who did the mural on the side of the FAMS building. If you've seen that, she'll be out participating. And then just to save the date, we have trustee talk with myself and trustee Fowler coming up on May 11th. It is at 6:30 in the Silver Room at the building just next door. Thank you.
All right, anything from the Planning Commission?
No.
Okay, Bruce Township Sewer Committee did not meet. Going to get with you and hope to schedule a meeting in 2 weeks' time. Legal counsel is currently drafting the revised intergovernmental agreement that I would like us all to review before we move that any further with them. So give us a little bit of time to complete that work.
Are they still at their same request, the
900?
995 almost?
Mm-hmm, yep, 900,000. Okay, moving on to unfinished business. First up, we have item 9A. God bless you. Our resource officer. So I'd like to just give a little bit of background before we move into this. Romeo Village Council previously authorized myself to negotiate terms and conditions presented in the agreement, which is included in your board packet. This agreement, if approved by Romeo Village Council, the Bruce Township Board of Trustees and the Romeo School Board would provide jurisdictional authority for a Romeo Village police officer to serve as a school resource officer during school days and certain after-school hours events. During other non-school working days, the dedicated school resource officer would report to Romeo Village and perform regular patrolman duties. So a bit of background. We've been going back and forth with this agreement. What you see in your packet are one version. This is the third version that was revised by Romeo Legal Counsel, and we can get into the who, what's, and wheres of indemnification and surrogation from the insurance company. But basically, this was drafted from Bruce Township, asking Romeo to provide a police officer at that campus. The Romeo Middle School, former high school, sits in Bruce Township, which is not part of the Village of Romeo. That's why our police service, our police department, doesn't service that campus right now. So we needed to establish jurisdiction in order to put a police officer there. There is a resource officer currently at the high school facility. That is a Macomb County Sheriff's officer that services that. The school board approached myself and Supervisor Philbrook and said, Romeo is so close, you're positioned perfectly, you have the staff and you have the capabilities to put an officer at that facility to assist those middle school students. And would we support that? And I jumped on wholeheartedly because I think we need to, obviously in hindsight from what happened in Oxford, to really work to protect those students. So we asked Bruce Township to draft an agreement. We had a couple of consortium meetings. We circled back, and Mark reviewed that, and he suggested revisions to paragraph 8 and paragraph 9. Again, the agreement that you have in your packet is Mark's revisions. I can tell you, after further discussion with Bruce Township and Mr. Robinson, that Mark's revisions will not be approved by either one of those facilities, especially about the indemnification. They don't so much have an issue with the insurance portion of it. The insurance portion, we are not allowed to, how do you say that word, Mark? Subrogate, right, yes. Basically, we can't assign authority to somebody else. We can't, we're not allowed to assign authority from our insurance provider. So per our policy, we had to remove that one section, that one last paragraph. But the indemnification, Mark's position, and I don't want to speak for you, so maybe I should turn the floor over to you right now to.
You should have you should have one complete version of proposed intergovernmental agreement for school resource officer in your packets. And then there's a standalone page at the top left. It says revised number 2, which has paragraphs 8 and 9. The agreement that you have, the draft, for the most part, is fine in terms of its content and presentation. I was concerned about paragraphs 8 and 9. Paragraph 8, the insurance, Mrs. Malzahn has already mentioned that. In the standalone page or the single page, paragraph 8, you'll notice the last sentence, it addresses the subrogation. Mrs. Malzahn checked with the village's insurance carrier, and the village's liability carrier will not permit the subrogation. So that last paragraph would come out or should come out, and it's already deleted in paragraph 8 in the proposed agreement you have in front of you. Paragraph 9, the indemnification, the original text is in that standalone or single page, and basically what it says is everybody's going to indemnify everybody else. That troubles me because if you have this circular indemnity, then everybody's indemnifying everybody else. Who gets the benefit of the indemnity? You can anticipate if, God forbid, there's a tragedy at the school where the resource officer is there. Unfortunately, you can anticipate everybody's going to get sued. The village will get sued, the school, probably the township. In any event, if that happens, if everybody does get sued, then the parties who get sued are probably going to sue one another. The village is going to sue the school is going to sue the village, maybe they both sue the township. In any event, it's going to be annuities for lawyers, it's unfortunately, but that's the world in which we live. And so my concern is that this circular indemnity is going to end up being no indemnity at all. That you'll be left to your own devices in terms of any liability. I don't know if your insurance carrier will have some type of policy or event exclusion. I just don't think the indemnity is going to provide any indemnity at all. But as long as you know that, you should make the decision that you feel is in the best interests of your constituents. As Mrs. Malzahn said, I had not spoken to Mr. Robinson or anybody from the school's attorney's office. I did speak with the attorney for Bruce Township, and he told me that the indemnity language that I've included in paragraph 9, where the village is being indemnified by the township and the school, it will not be approved by the township. So what you have before you, you're told, at least anecdotally, that neither the township or the school is going to approve it. But my advice is, as presented in that agreement, you should make the decision you feel is in the best interest of the village.
You're suggesting the revision 2 be what's included?
I'm suggesting what you have in the proposed complete document is paragraphs 8 and 9 should, that's what I'm recommending. What is shown in revision 2 or revised number 2 is what was in that agreement originally.
Okay.
And again, paragraph 8, if that last sentence is taken out, that will probably pass muster with the village's liability carrier. And I've expressed to you what my concerns are about paragraph 9, the indemnity provision.
One of the other items that Mark and I discussed, and he tasked me with reaching out to Dr. Robinson to find out what sort of indemnification is included in Washington Township's agreement with the Macomb County Sheriff and the resource officer that's down there right now. And apparently there isn't an agreement. While there's an agreement for services because Washington Township utilizes the Macomb County Sheriff to service their municipality, there isn't a specific agreement for the resource officer. So that sort of
There's no unique jurisdiction there. The sheriff is
Correct.
already covering that area. So
Right.
it's
Yep.
just paying to have somebody to be able to be there that's in their jurisdiction.
Right, I talked to our chief of police and said, hey, if you responded, even if we don't do this and the school decides they want to put another Macomb County Sheriff's officer there, which is an option, It's a much more costly option for the school, because I believe that resource officer is about $165,000, where it's about $70,000 for a village police officer. But still on the table, because they have indicated, or Dr. Robinson has indicated, that they have every intent to put that resource there. It's definitely needed up there. But, so if there was an event and it was the Macomb County Sheriff and we were still called in for mutual aid, we'd still be liable, right? If something goes wrong, right, and there's an event at that campus, we're still probably gonna get sued, because that's the times that we live in, right? So it's a matter, to me, of weighing what are the risk factors, right? Do we want to proceed and put one of our police officers on that campus and aid in providing that service to those students up there, or do we want to let the school take responsibility solely and bear the full cost? Now, bear in mind, this agreement does benefit the Village of Romeo, because when that school resource officer isn't on duty there, we have another officer at the disposal of our police department for regular road patrol. So there is a definite benefit. You also note in this contract that I should point out the cost of it, because this is proposing a cost share of 60% for the cost of a Romeo police officer being borne by the schools, 30% by the Village of Romeo, and 10% by Bruce Township. So it's about $15,000 to the Village of Romeo for that officer.
What happens after this agreement? It's proposed right now 4 years, and Bruce backs out, or the school decides to change and go back to the county. What does that do to us? Do we just eliminate that officer, or do we have the budget to support
Right now, I'm
it?
actually down one officer that I was from 3 years ago. We never replaced the person that left.
Yeah.
So, we would just go back to what we were. It would cost a little more money, add a little more to our budget, but we would be back to the starting point of where
So if we had to
were.
fully fund this ourselves, would we have that in the budget?
I have nothing in my budget yet, because it's budget year.
Yeah,
But when we do that, we would have to add, if the contract with the school ran out and they decided they didn't want to do it anymore, or we decided we didn't want to do it anymore, then we would have to add some more, the other 60% back to the budget for that officer. We're also working on a school resource officer grant. The chances of getting something like that, I put in for a COPS grant 5 years ago to hire 100 people. They told us we'd make too much money and gave it to the poorer communities, which is understandable, but we're gonna try again. As far as the holding harmless thing, or indemnification, or whatever you wanna call it, I can tell you right now, if anything happens at the school, we're going there anyways. You're gonna be sued.
Okay.
Everybody there is gonna be sued. If you didn't do anything wrong, you don't have to worry about it. And for any of my officers to actually hesitate to do something because they're worried about the lawsuit, when they're doing the right thing, they need to find another career.
And this is a 4-year agreement,
You say four,
right?
but in the term just says one,
Yes,
so I don't.
I believe so.
What is the?
Well, that's what we have.
Right,
on there.
yes.
So 4 years right now.
Because we wanted it
Bruce
to
is-
run with the current collective bargaining agreement, where we have the wages,
But
yep.
Bruce is committed for 4 years, and the school is committed for 4 years.
It's only 1 year.
Yeah,
It's
this
only 1
says
year.
one with an.
Yeah.
Oh, the front page tells us how to vote, said,
Well,
It's
if
4
you
years.
look at paragraph number 2, the terms and termination, it's a 1-year agreement, can be renewed annually, and you can terminate it, any party can terminate on 6 months' notice. And you can suggest a different term for the agreement.
But it is annual.
I'm just stating as presented, it's a 1-year
No, I just saw
agreement.
the
Okay,
4-year.
I did too, that's what.
So we just need a motion to, if we want to do this, go ahead with this, and which paragraph 9 are we going to look at?
so what Mark's suggesting, my understanding is that it's not gonna be approved. So even if we approve to move forward, we still gotta change language? Come to
Unless
an
we,
agreement?
unless the
we
motion
include-
included the revised number 2 paragraph language, at least for section 9. I believe the contract, the agreement as drafted for section 8, which leaves out that the insurance carriers' concerns, that won't be an issue because that's written in our policy, and I've sent that documentation on to Bruce Township. It's really section 9 that is a deal breaker with the townships.
I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve this, including the paragraph 9 on the revision 2 page, instead of the paragraph 9 in the
Support.
page 4 here.
We have a motion by Edwards.
Mark, just to clarify, the revision 2, you would not support, you don't support that, right? Language.
Well, I don't vote, so it's not whether I support it or not.
Your recommendation is not to include that.
What I'm telling you is that I don't believe this circular indemnification really ends up indemnifying anybody. And so I say that the school isn't my client, Bruce Township isn't my client, when I say it's not going to indemnify anybody because everybody's going to be throwing in their indemnity, you're going to meet yourselves coming around the corner. So that strikes me as being no indemnity at all. And that's what that's my analysis, and that's what I'm saying. Now, it then becomes, what is your appetite for risk? Because if there's no indemnity, then you're assuming the risk of action or inaction, being negligent or worse on behalf of the person you put up there. But so is the school, if they acted negligently, so is Bruce Township if they acted negligently. So what I'm saying is the indemnification as it is suggested in revision number 2, which was originally in the agreement, if you look at it from a bare bones point of view, I say it provides you with no indemnity, even though it's entitled indemnification. And if that risk is acceptable, then you act accordingly. If it's unacceptable, you act accordingly. And the school and the township are going to both have to make the same judgment. Now, the advice they're being given may be different than what I'm giving you. I don't know. And the other thing is, I don't know in terms of any party to this acting, I don't know whether the township has approved it. I don't know if the school has. So you may do something and it may not matter. I don't know. That's up to the boards in each, the 2 communities and the school.
So to just to answer that question, I believe this item is on the agenda for Bruce Township on Wednesday evening. And it's also, Dr. Robinson was trying to get it on the school board agenda for a week from tonight.
Okay. And the only other thing that, I don't know, concerns or whatever, is if this is only a 1-year agreement, and it's a 6 months to back out, even if, so we go 2 months into a contract and we decide, what are we saving, 4 months? You know, if we gotta wait the 6, I'd like to, if we're gonna do it, secure it for longer with everyone, so that we've got some known coverage from them. If it's every year, that seems like a lot of legwork for a 6 months cancellation, right?
Okay.
I think, I like the 4-year that was in the original front page.
But from what I'm hearing, I could be wrong, but it sounds like, I think our biggest problem is that the school is in Bruce Township. And I think that's creating the problems as far as getting them to agree. So I think it's gonna get turned down. So I don't know, we can vote on this and move, present it. But I think it's gonna be a problem with 9.
I don't think it's going to be a problem if we include revision number 2 for section 9.
Okay.
Because that was drafted by their attorney and sent to us. And Dr. Robinson said with revision number 2, his legal counsel reviewed it and thought we were pretty good to go.
Okay.
Although they haven't formally voted on it, we would be the first ones. So
Okay.
that's why I wanted to give the option to make as smooth a road as possible. If we're willing to take the risk, then we'll just initially go in, keeping the original language as drafted by Bruce Township. I can suggest that we revise the term and the length to them, and bring that back with the final executed agreement. If I know that we're all, we could take a vote on the length of term if you want, or suggest 4 years.
Or even a 3-year, you said for the contracts.
That's what my original intent was, that it was gonna run with the term of the collective bargaining agreement, which was the 4 years. when we renegotiate the officer, the use of the officer, the wages, it may not be feasible. I don't anticipate that, but it makes sense to me that it runs with our agreement, so.
Well, if they do meet next week, or by the end of next week, they will both meet, could we, and this doesn't possibly need to come back to us, could we put it on whatever date we have our special before the next meeting to try and get this moved along and taken care of in case, so it doesn't have to wait a whole nother month for us to come back and reapprove? Throw it on there?
Yep, we certainly can.
One thing I did comment is that this is not because of Oxford. This was on our goals and objectives from a couple of years that we've been talking about doing this. But then Oxford coming up just kind of reinforced the need for it. And then now the middle school has moved just out of our jurisdiction. So those are some couple things that, we knew that was happening, but those are the things that changed. And I would think the school wants it even if they have to pay more for the county, it sounds like. And Bruce Township is paying a small portion, and I overwhelmingly think the residents that have children, and many that don't, that have had kids prior going through the schools, are in support of this. And I can't imagine if something were to happen and we didn't do what we can for this cost.
I'm in complete agreement with that. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor by Edwards. We have support by Hart. Did you want to just amend your motion to include a 4-year term as a recommended, or do you want to keep it with the 1 and then bring it back?
I'll go with the 4 years, that's fine.
Okay.
I'll support.
Okay. Caroline, could you call a roll for me on that?
Sure.
Was there anybody from the audience that wanted to offer comment? By the way, I sort of skipped over that step.
Just a question. If it's in Bruce Township, why are they only doing 10%?
Because their viewpoint is that they're not directly benefiting from an officer, right? While we're servicing that campus, the school is really receiving the benefit, and the Village of Romeo for the non-working days. That's the discussion that I heard, so.
And I recommend 1 year, so that you can renew it next year and the year after, just to see how it goes.
Okay. All right. Was there anybody else? Thank you for that.
4 years.
4, you recommend 4?
4 years.
Okay, thank you. All right, Caroline, roll call, please.
Parker?
Yes.
Fowler?
Yes.
Bartholomew?
Yes.
Edwards?
Yes.
Hart?
Yes.
Poznanski?
Yes.
President Malzahn?
Yes. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you for that. All right. If anybody can attend the Bruce Township meeting on Wednesday.
In response to your comment with the 1 year, we still have a 6-month, we can still cancel a contract at any time. It's still 6 months regardless if it's 1 year or 4 years. If things change, we do have that out.
Okay, moving on to 9B, the lawn maintenance RFP. Just a bit of background. Romeo Village Council issued an RFP on March 22nd, 2022. 0 submissions were received within the allotted submission timeframe. 1 submission from Parrot Landscaping was received on April 12th, 2022. So I went ahead and added this to the agenda for some direction. I know it was received late, but again, we didn't have anybody else that responded. Clerk Trapp prepared, and I asked her to include the original RFP from 2020 in your packet. Parrot Landscaping did remit a reply 4 years ago for those services. I'm sorry, 2 years ago for those services. It is a significant cost increase from what we were paying, but again, we can reissue the RFP and see if we're able to snag any bidders, or we can award.
How did we put it out?
I believe she sent letters to each one of the people who applied or who submitted a proposal in 2020.
Okay.
And then she posted it on the Mitten. I don't know if it was published in a newspaper without her here tonight.
Yeah, it's surprising. I saw Bruce just had this too, I believe, right? And they got a couple, at least a couple that submitted, I believe. And so I was surprised that we got 1, but it was even late. So I
right, it was
just wondered
late.
how it was put out. and if people were made aware of.
Can we just do it one more time?
And even see who, if Bruce did get some, who, see if they were.
Ron White, I know Ron White submitted for.
Right, I was surprised that he didn't,
Bruce,
that he
yeah.
didn't submit for us. Yeah, we can certainly repost the RFP. I would like, authorization that if, as we're starting, well, it's snowing right now, but hopefully that's gonna melt and have the grass grow, and if, we need to have some service, in the meantime, before we get a contractor, that I can have Ron White or somebody come and, and mow these facilities, because we don't wanna break our own noxious weed ordinance, so.
Because we're currently lapsed, correct?
Correct, we do not have a contractor right now, so I will
And
ask.
that's just for the areas listed, not the cemetery, right? Because we've got equipment and stuff for the cemetery.
Right, and the cemetery crew is already back at work, so they're already up there. They started last week doing their spring cleanup. We just wanted to be able to have a comparison to what it cost us for Mitchell and Casey up there to what an agency outside would charge us. And obviously, it's a cost savings to have our own 2 employees there. And I believe Casey and Mitchell are going to take care of the park just for Arbor Day. I at least asked them to take care of that for April 29th.
That'd be nice.
I don't know that it needs to be mowed, but they can probably at least blow and take care of that. So I'll ask Clerk Trapp to reissue this RFP. Probably won't go out until next week, so we'll probably need to give 2 weeks. So hopefully we'll get it back just before our May meeting, and we'll have something balanced, so.
And then check with Bruce.
Okay.
Because I'm sure somebody they're doing right next door, that might be.
So I'm gonna just make a motion to reissue.
Do you want to include in that motion the authority to hire a contractor on a temp basis until we fulfill this?
If I have to, you know what, I can probably throw it on our budget workshop, right? I'll ask Ron to give me a price or something so that I have some sort of number to bring back. So for right now, I'm just gonna make a motion to reissue the RFP.
I'll second.
Parker supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, let's move on. New business. We have a new HDC appointment. Mr. Paul Witlowski, did I say that right? Yes, Witlowski, yes. Thank you. He submitted a letter of interest, which I have included in your packet. The Historic District Commission has a vacancy created from the resignation of Guy Jones Law. I received on March 14th the attached letter of interest. He and I have met, and I'm pleased to make my presidential nomination appointing him pending board approval to a 3-year term commencing April 22nd through December of 2025. Did you want to say a few words? Thank you. For anybody who doesn't know, he lives in Mike Krieger's house on North Main Street.
Hi, I'm Paul Witulski. Yeah, I'm interested in becoming a board member. I have a career in electrical construction. Last 29 years, I've been part of IBEW Local 58. Typically a letter steward out of the hall. I have a great passion for historic homes, building historically accurate furniture. If anybody's familiar with the Stickley Brothers, I have quite a vast collection of Stickley furniture, and I replicate it as well. So arts and crafts is my power alley, if you will. But I like Victorians as well, and I get into all the granular details of it, and I think I could be of some service and an asset to the board.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
You're welcome.
Excellent. So I'm going to make the nomination to approve Mr. Witlowski to the HDC.
Support.
We have a motion by Malzahn, we have support by Hart. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Welcome. As soon as Clerk Trapp is back in the office, she'll reach out to you and get you sworn in. And then the next time you get your HDC packet, you'll serve as a voting member. So thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
You should get to know Elizabeth and her house.
Yeah.
We are.
Okay.
We go way back.
All right.
I'm mid-TV. I'm getting just some concerns from a couple of residents that are saying they can't watch the live feed. Is that repaired now?
It's just going to be their connection. I just had somebody asking the same thing. It's
Okay.
up live.
Okay.
You might have to double check their connection.
Okay.
2 different people. I'll go double check, but
Okay.
I'm getting a live.
Just double check it. Okay, just making sure. Thank you. Up 10B, the MI Junk Teak Special Event Permit. Michigan Junkies is hosting a block party retail event adjacent to their business located at 218 and 220 North Main Street on April 29th and 30th. They are requesting the temporary closure of the alley, which separates them from the gas station to the south, for a 48-hour period commencing 9 a.m. on the 29th and ending at 6 p.m. on the 30th. Merchandise displays will also limit pedestrian use of the sidewalk along Main Street and in the rear private parking lot. I believe they're putting up a tent in there. So,
One question. They're limiting the sidewalk. Will there still be room for people instead of walking out through the road?
there should be, yes, but they,
Just to make sure that-
yes.
Yeah, it's just a thing.
They won't totally block it, yes.
Where is it blocking? Yeah, just checking.
Okay, so can I get a motion to approve the MI Junkies special event permit?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Bartholomew, support by Fowler.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's one. Next, in your packet, you have the Arbor Day special event permit. The Romeo Tree Board is actively planning a second annual Arbor Day celebration. This year's event is proposed to include the planting of 4 donated trees. As mentioned earlier in my report, 1 at Amanda Moore, 1 at Starkweather, and 2 at Kezar. The closure of Newberry Street from Main to the UPS post office rear exit will accommodate the inflatable bulldog sponsored by Tar & Associates. The Village Park location will include a formal presentation and proclamation by myself declaring April 29th as Arbor Day. County Executive Mark Hackle and other invited dignitaries are scheduled to speak. Live musicians will play from both the gazebo and in Starkweather Alley. Local businesses and vendors have been invited to set up display tables and sell food items in the park as well. The Romeo Lions are sponsoring a refreshment tent located behind the Masonic Temple. So the special event permit also includes the closure or possible closure of Rawls Street and some of the parking spots along the east side of Village Park. We're not entirely certain, since we're still in the planning stages, if we'll need to close Rawls Street, but we wanted that as an option just in case we have enough vendors that we really need to limit the traffic in that area or move the refreshment tent there. But the intent and initial discussion was to put the blow-up bulldog alongside Masonic Temple, so people are walking from Amanda Moore into the park or back to Kezar. Put the refreshment tent near the Christmas tree area, and then the vendors around the park. So,
I'll make a motion to approve the permit for the special event for
Support.
Arbor Day as presented.
motion by Hart, support by Edwards. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. The third of our fourth special event permits, the Village Alley Special Event Permit. Just a bit of discussion. The DDA Board held discussion during its April 4th meeting and has authorized DDA Director Elizabeth Miller to seek support of the business owners in the affected area and request approval from Village Council for a temporary closure of that alley. And I believe she is here tonight to present the scope of what we hope to do to expand seating, to attract more residents who are coming to our village and give them another place to sit down and enjoy our lovely community, especially with the return of our taco truck. Everybody sees the taco truck on the corner and they need a place to sit down and eat their tacos, so we're gonna give it to them. So, take it away,
This thing looked like it was about to fall down, so I'm just gonna,
Okay.
hopefully it's okay. Hopefully this won't be as controversial with all the marijuana stuff going on tonight, but thanks for having me tonight. I know you all got a pretty extensive packet. I don't know if you've ever had something this big for an event permit, but one of the things I want to bring to your attention is one of the things that we're trying to do is something called placemaking. And did any of you get a chance to read the article that was included in your board packet? I think it was about 5 pages long. And if you're interested in the digital version of it, there's several hyperlinks within the article. But for those of you in the audience who may not be aware, placemaking exists to inspire people to collectively reimagine and reinvent public spaces at the heart of every community, strengthening the connection between people and places they share in a collaborative process by which we shape our public realm in order to maximize shared value. A couple other key points from that article is placemaking shows people just how powerful their collective vision can be, and it helps them reimagine everyday spaces. What I'm suggesting tonight for this temporary closure as a pilot project is something that in the placemaking world they call lighter, quicker, and cheaper. It's something you try before you put a big investment into something and I have some other exciting things to share in connection to that. Experience has shown us that when developers and planners welcome this kind of a grassroots involvement, and there's a lot of grassroots involvement in this one, they spare themselves a lot of headaches, specifically in the realm of cost and time, which a lot of those things happen. Placemaking is also used in many settings, and what planners and developers use it, and they use it as a way to brand, to imply some authenticity and quality in an area. And for those of you who may or may not be aware, we've just rebranded the Romeo DDA's downtown logo, and we're getting a lot of positive attention by that. And we're going to be having merchandise actually available to purchase, apparel merchandise during the Arbor Day event that we're sponsoring as well. A great public space cannot be measured by its physical attributes alone, because function always trumps form. Spaces remain dedicated to supporting the movement, growing a network, and sharing our experience and resources with placemakers and allies everywhere. Now, that was a lot, but there's more. One of the things that is, so for those of you who aren't aware of what we're suggesting that we do is to temporarily close the alley between the Shell gas station and Michigan Junk Teaks right next to it, only for the space of the side of the building, which is around 50 feet. Kathy went out and measured it for me so I could have that in your packet tonight. So that would not impede parking behind that building. It would not impede any of the other 4 entries into that quadrant, into the northeast quadrant of our village. One of the pieces of data that was collected came from the Macomb County Planning and Economic Development. Have any of you heard or seen the Placer AI PowerPoint that was done through the Chamber of Commerce, I believe? There's a lot of, I think, Justin, I see your head nodding. Did you see it? I thought I saw your head nodding, yes, okay. Sorry.
No, I did not.
Okay, what that is it the Placer AI that Macomb County Planning and Economic Development, who they wrote a letter of support for this project. It is data. It's a data only that accounts for the smartphone data collection. So we all know that if you put your if you have your location services on, your data is being collected. So it's anonymous, so don't worry, we don't know who's actually showing up in the village. But the county is really excited about Romeo. The numbers are staggering, the amount of people who are coming through Romeo. And I have a few of those details for you. I asked them, I had a conference call with them on Thursday, and they were really excited to share this information. And when they shared it for just 1 year, I said, can you target May 1st to November 1st, which is what I'm proposing, which actually I said April 22nd, but if the date has to be adjusted a little bit, I'm okay with that. They have 5 years worth of data from 2017, 18, 19. Yes, even during the pandemic, we saw an uptick of visitors during those months, and also 2021. All this information is gleaned from a panel of 300 to 400 apps when your location services are turned on. In the past 5 years, with the last 5 years of data that they have, they're meeting this week at the county to strategize how to use this information to assist Macomb County downtowns and specifically, and they are excited to work with Romeo as one of their pilot programs. And I'm honored to be able to help lead that and then bring that back to our board. In addition to the data that was collected from May 1st to November 1st, I said, can you tell me what the numbers were for February 26th, 2022? Which was what? Winterfest. Just from cell phone data alone, and I estimated we had maybe 3,000 people in town. I was grossly wrong. We registered just with cell phone data, 5,000 people came into town. Now, what did that look like in the previous years for the same date? Lower than 2,000. So those numbers are staggering. So the other interesting thing about this, the median visitor's income that coming into town is $95,000 a year. That's their annual income. The peak times of the day are around lunchtime, dinner time. What do you think the two peak times of the year are for Romeo?
Peach Fest.
Peach Fest. What's the other one?
Halloween.
Absolutely. And the numbers, again, for those things are absolutely staggering. And through the years, 2017, am I boring anybody? Because I'm excited about this data. The average frequency of these visitors is anywhere from 2.8 times per person to 3.5. They range, the outlying cities that people are coming from are Mount Pleasant, Midland, Franklin, Bay City, Lansing, Ann Arbor, Flint, Dearborn, Fort Gratiot, Ypsilanti, Detroit. With that data, there's more. With that data, the annual time, dwell time, bizarrely, 2020 had the longest time each of these people were staying in town, and it was 124 minutes. It went down to currently 108 minutes for one person. That's an hour and a half. What do all retailers know? The more time people spend in a store, the more they spend. So what I'm suggesting is the space that I want to close down for a short period of time, what's that going to do to our downtown merchants? So interestingly enough, so again, the more time people spend, the more they're going to spend in dollars for our businesses. The Northeast Quadrant, as we all know what that is, but not everybody does. The intersections, the four corner intersections, north, west, south, east, all that. The Northeast Quadrant, where I'm suggesting that we close this down, it's the only quadrant in downtown that has an alley access for vehicles directly off of Main Street. The Southeast Quadrant, where Ace Hardware is, they have businesses behind that are similar to what Buscemi's has, and Four Corners Diner, and Agni Construction, and where JL's currently is. And I understand there's another business already looking to move into that space, so that's exciting. So even though the Southeast Quadrant has those businesses behind it, they also have 4 other access points, which the Northeast Quadrant also does. If this one were to be closed temporarily, there's still 4 other access points. As the owner of the Agni Construction Company said, he goes, oh, well, that's the way I come into work every day. He goes, but there's 4 other entries. I can change my habits. As of this afternoon, I have 8 businesses already willing to donate to this project with funds exceeding already over $2,000. Several wanted to go ahead and send checks, and I said, you gotta wait until we get approval. And one of the businesses who wanted to go ahead and send a $1,000 check alone is looking to move into the Romeo area. They aren't even a local business yet. As of this afternoon, we also have a volunteer force that is willing to dedicate their time, talent, and resources to this for this highly sought after project. In addition, we just received in the offices today a national brand sponsor. Anybody have heard of Solo Stoves? Those smokeless? Yep, got 2 of those for free today. So they are one of our sponsors actually for Arbor Day. I submitted a grant about 3 weeks ago, and they approved it Thursday, and they showed up by FedEx today. So we're excited about that. And those will be the benefit of that is they're available for many events, right? So they won't be left out. They're a little too nice to be left out, so we'll take care of them. They come with carry bags, and if anybody's been to my house, you know we have those as well. I submitted pictures of our house with them, so hopefully that helped a little bit. I don't know, but so in conclusion, I just want to say this. As we create more spaces for people, we get more people. As we create more spaces for people to congregate and relax, the more time they spend downtown. Where do you think I'm going with this? The more time they spend downtown, our downtown sales increase. The more downtown sales increase, the more successful our businesses will be. The more successful our businesses are, the more our property values and quality of life in our quaint village of Romeo will be. This pilot project is worth experimenting with, and I thank you for your time and your consideration. Do you have any questions?
Have we talked to the fire EMS at all in regards to this and how that might affect them? Because then I know the next thing we're looking at is another closure for Saturdays, most of the day on Saturdays, just across the street pretty much. So I didn't know if we've reached out to them or not.
I have not personally reached out to them. I know that when we went through Winterfest things, we talked about some different alleyways and whatnot, and there wasn't any issues with any of that. But that can certainly be something that is addressed for sure. And again, there's 4 other locations. One of the projects I'm working for, and Justin, that's a great question. One of the other projects we're working on is the parking issue, right? What do I say? We don't have a parking issue, we have a communication problem. So one of the things we can do is the alley directly behind the Chamber building, it currently, people thought there was a one-way sign there, there's not. So just like the alleyway adjacent to the Ace Hardware store, that was not changed to a one-way. I think this happened about 8 or 10 years ago until a tragedy happened. Someone was killed. Before that turned into a one-way. I'm suggesting some of the things that I'm trying to get changed under the authority of the DDA, they're necessary. And there's a lot of people who walk that alleyway. I had several businesses, 8 out of the 9 businesses in that complete northeast quadrant have signed off on this wholeheartedly, and several of them want to donate money to the temporary project, let alone the grant that the county's trying to get me to write for a permanent closure, if that were to be deemed possible by
The
this board.
ninth business, what did you, they didn't respond at all?
Oh, no, they did. I spoke with Sam, one of the new owners of the Bushimis, and he supported. We walked it. He supported it. You know, then there was some rumors flying around. You know, that we were trying to close the whole entire thing off, and I was able to talk to him at the end of last week, and he just said, "I have a lot going on. I've got, you know, we have 2 businesses. Their whole family is amazing. I've met them all. Got a dessert from his aunt. They were handing those out, and they're incredible. I hope they start selling Indian food there because it was amazing, and I got it for free. But yeah, it was. But those are great questions. And once David, who's been making pizza there forever, you know, I went in end of last week. I said, I understand there's some misunderstanding about what's going on here. I showed him the picture. I showed him the collage. He said, "Oh, that's what you're trying to do?" I said, "Yeah. Let's walk out and take a look." I said, "What do you think's going to happen if somebody's sitting on that picnic bench? Pretty lights are overhead. Everything else in town is closed." I said, "How late do you open?" 10 o'clock. I said, "What if they're hungry?" And I said, "And they turn to your building." He goes, "Oh, they're going to come get pizza." So it's a win-win, yeah. So I could go on and on, but I know you have a million other agenda items. So
Just one more quick question.
Sure.
Spoke with a business owner today who borders another alley, because we have several alleys in town. They're not drivable, but would like to know that these other alleys may be used as well with some of the seating or picnic tables in the future, so that it's kind of spread around a little bit.
I think that's completely possible, and I think that's completely possible for this year,
I think so.
with addition to lighting up above in those spaces as well. There's a lot of interest in that. There's a huge interest from a lot of volunteers that we use during Winterfest, and the Romeo and Juliet Garden Club actually is interested in helping me. I'm a new member. I garden a little bit, but they're interested in helping with some of this, and there's some things that need to be changed in there. And you know, if I may say one more thing, it is my desire to hopefully get a unanimous vote on this project, because a vote in favor is a vote in favor of our downtown community continuing to try new and exciting opportunities. Could it fail? Yeah, maybe, but we won't know unless we try.
I don't think it will.
Yeah, this has been in the plan for a long time.
Right now.
Our master plan supports closing the alley, and I think it's something we can do, and this is a great option to do a test and see how that works and move forward. So I'll make a motion to approve the special event with the closure to go from April 22nd through November 1st, 22nd, and I think you're doing an awesome job.
Could you include with approval from Fire EMS on that? Because I'll support it and I don't have to vote no.
Okay, so with approval with Fire and EMS, because it is part of the master plan though, but okay, I'll put that as a motion.
Okay. Did you support, Justin?
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion by Hart, we have support by Parker for the special event closure of the Village Alley. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? One.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate it. One quick question though. The permit was for the 22nd. If I don't quite get it done by the 22nd, can it be delayed by a few days? Is that?
You can close it after.
That's what I mean. Okay. All right, great.
Yeah.
Thank you for your support. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
Okay, we have next 10E, River of God special event permit, and the last of our special event permits for this evening. River of God Church is planning to host an outdoor basketball league event to be held every Saturday from May 7th through June 25th. Between the hours of 9 a.m. and 4 p.m., they are requesting that South Bailey Street be closed from St. Clair to Lafayette and a portion of the alley, which is adjacent to their building, for each day of play. I don't think we have a representative here.
I don't see anyone here.
Okay. Right. Okay.
Are they going to have the court on the road? Is that
No, they're in the parking lot.
If you look at, where they're planning to, there's a little diagram.
Yeah, where the nets are?
Yes.
So they're replaying on the
Yes.
Melanie Road.
No.
Yeah.
No, they have a parking lot across the street that has basketball already, I believe.
They just put them up.
They put.
Yeah, they had one
in the- in
That's
the
just the
parking-
closures.
Yeah, but now they got,
Yep, yep,
they got
yep,
six
yep,
now.
yep.
Oh, wow.
think so.
My same concerns with this would be if we're closing the north end, and then now we're closing a street every Saturday, fire, the fire EMS, ALS.
Mm-hmm.
And then I like that we got feedback on this one in the north from the businesses. There's a lot of businesses that are gonna be affected by this closure, especially on a Saturday.
Yeah, does that
Wait a
have to be
minute.
signed off by them?
By
chief.
fire, yes. Well, unfortunately, Catherine wasn't here to circulate those special event permits like she
Right.
typically does.
Yeah.
So, right. It's not something that I
'Cause I
follow.
fully agree on that.
Did,
Right.
did you say they want to close the street off? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
South
Yes.
Bailey Street, yes, and,
Yeah.
and a portion of that
That will
alley.
be
It's every
Yep.
Saturday.
every
For every
Saturday.
Saturday.
It's a great program. I've been involved with other churches that have it. It's a great
South
thing.
Bailey?
Yeah,
Just like, yeah. So here's
from St. Clair
St. Clair.
to Lafayette.
here's them.
Yeah.
So this is going
Chief, do
back
you have any
behind.
thoughts on
So Ace
that?
Hardware would be,
From my
Right
understanding,
there.
when talking to him earlier, he was more concerned about people crossing the street. And I think that's why he wanted to close the street. And I told him, that's not my call, that's your call. If you start closing down all the streets all at once, like Mr. Parker's saying, it's gonna be a little tough getting around this town.
That create hazards too, I think. People expecting to be able to turn in. I mean, all the basketball nets that were in the parking lot.
Yeah,
I don't know.
the event wouldn't be on the street. The
Right.
event is in the parking.
That's a busy street. I
yeah,
mean,
because Ace Hardware customers are coming in and out of there.
They cross that street every Sunday to go to church and all the other events, so I'm not crazy about blocking off that street for
Can it
this.
be blocked off from the alley to Bailey, right there at that point, where the old Rambler
Well,
fence is at?
That still would block the entrance to behind,
The
behind
Ace
the
Hardware,
church.
right.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean, to leave that alley open.
Yeah.
So you
Oh,
can
you're sure you're
access
saying
the-
past that?
Yeah, right here.
But then they're leaving the church and they still gotta cross. They're crossing an alley or the street. See what you're saying?
I don't know what their intention is for the blocking of the street, but,
Can we
temporary
suggest-
crossing guard or something
Yeah.
might be a better option.
Because as far as Ace, you gotta go all the way around the Lafayette and then come in the back.
Yeah, I'm
way,
not-
and That's
I'm not for the street or the alley being blocked
taking
on
away their
this.
business. Quick access.
Okay. So
If-
you could
if
make a
anything,
motion to
approve
allow the
it.
special event permit without the street closure.
I'll make that motion.
Street and
Do we
alley.
allow
Street
this
and
without
alley,
the street and the alley blocked off?
Okay.
Maybe they can put some kind of thing like caution kids or some kind of,
Crossing
cars
guard.
can still get in, but they know something's going on.
I would support that.
Okay, so we're gonna approve a motion minus the street and alley closure. Okay, we had a motion by Bartholomew. Did anybody support that?
I can
Okay.
support that, Megan's.
Okay,
Megan.
Megan did, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
With all these special events permits that have been presented, I got maybe on a side note, maybe we should put something in a policy, a time frame that we get these for situations like these where we might want more information or additional supporting documentation where we have it before the month they need it, so maybe we request special event permits be turned in at least 2 meetings before, so we have time to review. If we ask for changes or corrections, they have time then to resubmit.
In a perfect world, I can see that sort of happening, but, in the discussion for Arbor Day, it just came up all of a sudden, then the Lions were, interested and willing to put a beer tent, or a refreshment tent, excuse me, in the parking lot. It wasn't really planned. They scrambled even to get the permit approved, so
Yeah.
I don't know that it can always be that timely, but we can
like
make
that.
a suggestion that they submit it at least 60 days in advance. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah, at least 2 meetings before so that we can review it, and if it's a simple change or correction or wanting something from fire, EMS, or whatever, we can get that, know we're good before we actually vote on something that we're hoping we're gonna get documentation to support it.
Okay, the item at hand, I think most people are here for 10F, the marijuana license transfer request. Just a bit of information. Romeo Village Clerk TRAP has received a request for a change of address for village-approved and issued marijuana business licenses, number 1002-21, number 1003-21, and number 1004-21. Per the ordinance, I am referring the documentation onto the Board of Trustees for consideration. So, ordinance 556-01, section 561-009, transfer of licenses is included. So the transfer of license per our ordinance is allowed. Catherine and I, upon hearing the request, conferred with legal counsel to make sure that it was allowed by ordinance, and to make sure that everything was submitted as required to give this council as much information as possible for who was requesting it. You have the letter in your packet from Tracy Gore requesting the transfer again of those locations, which is the 33 Mile Road location. I know that you received an email communication from another law firm, and I did receive that printed packet of information, as did legal counsel, and I think that was part of your concerns, Zach. Upon you guys receiving the email, Trustee Fowler called and asked if we were going to be able to have a closed session meeting or a special meeting to address the concerns that was in that documentation. After review from legal counsel, there's no lawsuit, legal action that has been filed. So there are some concerns that were raised by the law group. We are actively, Mark, myself, and Catherine, investigating our processes to address each one of those concerns, and we are taking that very, very seriously. But that does not take into account the request that you have in front of you for the transfer of licenses, although it does share the same address. One of the applicants for the information submitted an application for use for a marijuana license at that same address facility. That license was denied based on the 750-foot buffer. The current applicant that you see here from the 33 Mile Road, whose intent was to build a building with cost overruns and delays in construction materials, realized that the facility wouldn't be ready in time, and they have since secured the property at 100 McLean and wish to move their licenses to that location. So, I don't know.
I'll make the motion.
Mark, a question.
If you want to make a motion, you can, and then we can have
Yeah,
discussion.
I'll make a motion that agenda item, that we move forward and pass agenda item 10F, the marijuana business license relocation.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion by Bartholomew. We have support by Edwards. Discussion?
Oh, did I cut you off?
No.
No, Megan, I thought she was leaning forward when I started talking.
Go ahead, I was reading.
If Mark could explain just basically that first sentence in the paragraph you just referenced, 556-1-009.
The statement licensees may not transfer a license.
Yes.
That's correct. They may not transfer a license. You can approve the transfer of a license as stated in the body of the ordinance that follows that part. But that introductory statement is to prevent licensees from moving locations on his or her or their own.
Okay. Yeah, that's the way I read it. And that's why I'm asking for clarification. It says cannot transfer to different locations, then it goes into talk about transferring ownership.
That's a different subject. Let me just say that could this portion of the ordinance be stated a little more clearly? Yeah, probably it could. But given the text of the ordinance, that first sentence, licensees may not, so it's a permissive thing. They can't among themselves transfer licenses to a different location, but you can approve it. If you look at the licensees may not transfer ownership, That's who owns the license. What you're talking about here, if I understand what's being requested, what you're considering is there's not a transfer of ownership. The same entity, same people, whatever it might be, the same, whoever holds the license, that's not going to change. What they're asking, if I understand it, the holder of the license is asking to transfer from the location where they were going to operate, where their application was submitted, to a different location. And if you look at the body of the ordinance, it permits that. In order to receive approval to transfer a license location, not ownership, just the location, the licensee must make a written request to the village, and I won't read to you, but the text permits, assuming all the requirements have been fulfilled, the text permits the transfer, but it's your vote. You have to approve it, or not. I mean, you don't have to approve it, but it's your decision.
Is there any discussion? Any input from any of the public, license holders?
It was entire council.
Hi, Christine Constantino Jr. again, appearing on behalf of Scott Roberts Law. The whole issue here about the license being transferred is part and parcel of whether or not the license is even valid. Because as the March 24th letter to the board pointed out, there were several deficiencies that were discovered through a January FOIA request that was received by Bahora Law. In that FOIA request, there were several violations of section 557006 and 557008H from the village marijuana ordinance. So the claim that about the Pickney case and very passionate plea has really no bearing here, because all we're seeking is that the village hold its applicants accountable to its process and to its ordinances, which is not happening. In this case, and it's been explicitly identified within the letter, there are over 13 issues with the applicants or applications that were granted licenses. And all we want is a fair review for our clients. So as a result of these licenses being given to HYLA, we now are in a position where HYLA doesn't even have an active or pre-qualified status at all as of March 21st. So they should have been denied on that ground. And then we have all of the inaccuracies and incomplete documents that were submitted that this license was granted upon. This is an issue for the court to determine. I think that any action taken by this board, and it's of course my opinion, but is a little premature at this juncture, because we need to hold all of the applicants to the same standard. We don't need to give any grace or cooperation to certain applicants to show favoritism. That's not the purpose of the ordinance, and that's not the purpose of the law. So again, I would object to any transfer of the license, because not only is the license going to be sought to be invalid through court proceedings, which are imminent, but we will also, by granting this, it's now causing additional damages to other applicants who now relied on this application process that they were denied a fair review on. So, in conclusion, I'd just like to object to the motion being granted.
The client should have gotten in line first.
So we're applying for an application to the property removed because of what you said. The timing and everything that's involved with building right now is not that easy. First question, is litigation been filed?
Not yet.
So are you guys the court, or are you guys the board? You're the board.
Correct.
When you take it to court, that's the time that somebody will decide. Until that point, we've been fighting for this for a year. I sat up here and I had one of the members tell me that I should share a license with somebody else. Why am I getting so greedy? We spend our time.
I didn't say those words. I just said it stinks. That's all I said.
Stinks. And you also said, why can't you share?
All right, wait.
Why can't
We're
you
going to be
share?
orderly here.
I had another member of your panel ask if we donated any money to anybody's campaign. All of this is just inappropriate talk, in my opinion. If you have facts, if you have issues, go to court. If you don't, let's move forward.
Thank you, Pat.
I think most of you know, I'm Tracy Gore. I'm the one that did all of the 4 applications. The ones that we're talking about tonight are the 3 that are on 33, not the one that's on 32. As all of you know, it's a very tedious process. Each application was probably 200 pages times 4. And we did the process. We followed what we were supposed to do. We turned it in. We were approved. You know, if there was a few little things that were wrong with the property ID number that was part of something that was wrong with the city and us having the wrong one, little minor things. I don't know what this other gal was talking about, 13 things that were wrong. I have no idea about that. We followed the procedure. We were told we were good to go. And now all we want to do is move it within our 750 buffer, where we didn't have access to this other property before. It's not our fault that we were in line first and we got it, and that building came up available. So I think that's, and there is no lawsuit filed yet, so I don't think that's not what we're looking at here, so that's my opinion.
I appreciate that. Yes, sir.
Is that a gong? Sometimes I get the gong right in the middle of my speech.
We're friendlier than that. Come on.
Church bell.
Good evening. I'll be brief. I know you're working hard and late tonight. Rob Huth, I referenced earlier that our firm practices municipal law. And today, in Macomb County Circuit Court, we represented a client in a case involving where the city of Utica issued permits. 2 people were awarded, and then somebody came in, a disappointed, someone that lost, disappointed loser, went to the Macomb Circuit Court and said, you know what? Stop this process, City of Utica. Don't do anything else. You've awarded awards, but to people, take them away, and let us, the disappointed loser, try and get some remedy. And I can tell you the Macomb Circuit Court has said no. They're not stopping what's been issued, what the Utica City Council did. It's moving forward. Doesn't mean the case and the disappointed loser can't bring a case. They can, but they're not going to undo what the City Council in Utica spent so much time working on, and that is a very likely the same result that would happen here. These communities like yours fight hard to come up with rules. People that don't come out on the top threaten to bring litigation, but the Michigan Court of Appeals, our local court here in Macomb County, is going to uphold you and let this process go forward. So the folks sitting in the audience that are spending 6 and 7 figures to improve your community, to give you an opportunity to get excise tax money in September if you're up and running so you can move forward, I ask you not to cave into these threats and move forward with a very well-run process. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Quickly in response, the letter that we sent on March 24th details the village notes that were obtained through the FOIA request. These are not the words of the attorneys. These are not the words of disappointed losers, as my clients have been considered during this. For instance, application information sheet. I will read all 13 if you would like to hear, because we're not talking about simple things. We're talking about a notarization that is not proper. We're talking about whiteouts in the application process. We're talking about
understand,
incorrect
excuse me just one
property
second,
IDs.
because while I understand what is involved in the submission, I want you to understand that we are taking it very seriously and we are internally looking at that and comparing that against our processes. The action that's before this board tonight to move a license, it doesn't have any bearing on your submission. And because there is no pending litigation at this point, I see no reason why this board shouldn't approve the move of a license. It doesn't affect the validity of the license that was already granted to them months ago. So I respect that you're here tonight and I appreciate your time coming before us 100%. I want you to know that I am in receipt, as is legal counsel, as is this board, and we are actively investigating and looking at each one of your concerns. We do take that very seriously, and we'll be offering a formal response to you shortly.
And I do just want to correct that I do believe that if the court were to declare that the licenses were invalid, it would impact today's ruling or decision by the board. So, but I'll close with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question of Mark?
Yes.
Mark, as I'm listening to everything, are we exposing ourselves to anything? It sounds like there has been no litigation. This is a legal move that we can do. That's there. we're not putting ourselves and exposing ourselves to anything more by making that decision and letting them move forward with what they're doing for business.
Well, I don't think you are, but the extent of your exposure is going to depend on the nature and breadth of the allegations that are made if a lawsuit is filed. The letter
But our
that the
action
village...
tonight.
Right, but I would imagine, and I don't intend to speak for the putative litigants, but if there's litigation that follows based on the letter you received from Mr. Bahura, that what you do tonight will be included in the litigation. I don't know that, but...
It sounds like if there was something that, if there was valid and it went there, then the exposure are the people that are moving, that are doing whatever the process is and continuing on, and then possibly losing a license or whatever. I don't see that we would be exposed to anything by letting that move forward.
Well, I don't mean to answer the question with a question, but I guess it depends on what you mean by exposure. If you grant the transfer or deny the transfer, somebody's going to be disgruntled. And if somebody's disgruntled enough to litigate it, then let's take the scenario where you vote to approve the transfer. Mr. Bahura and his clients, and there was another lawyer who signed that letter as well, the aggrieved parties there are going to ask a judge to put the toothpaste back in the tube. So they're going to ask that the transfer be voided. It's not that...
It sounds like the whole license would be voided.
Well, I don't know. We're getting way ahead of ourselves because the allegations have been made. As Mrs. Malzahn said, they're taken very seriously, and they are being reviewed. The allegations are against what actually happened. We've had a little bit of a pause because Ms. Trapp's not available, and so, but it's being taken seriously. And but still, I think the ordinance you have permits you to transfer the license or allow the transfer if you see fit. I do believe if Mr. Bahura's firm, if they initiate litigation, they're going to ask that if you do approve the transfer, they're going to ask that that be set aside as part of the relief. But again, I'm speculating, which I don't like to do, on what relief somebody might be seeking against you as a council, and I don't know what that is. I've got an idea, but we don't know until the complaint's filed and served.
Okay,
I think we just need to move forward with the business of the board.
I agree.
Christine, based on the ordinance, does the new site have to be yet approved? Like through the initial application process where I think we had their site plans and signed off by our building inspector and all that, does that still have to be done before this license is transferred?
No, because that facility was already granted the special land use, and that designation stays with the building. So since that application previously submitted, went through that special land use process, that facility is already granted.
So that would be the only additional information we would need then, besides the business has already been approved by us.
We don't need any other special information, I'm not sure. Did I not follow what you meant?
No, just any other information or validation of that site. The special land use is.
It's already approved.
That's all that's required then.
It's not required at this point because the special land use was already approved
That's
by
what I
the
mean.
planning
It just
commission.
in general,
Correct. Right, it does
That
not
would be
require
it.
that process be reconsidered.
All right, because I thought initially like fire had to sign off.
And they
building
did all of
inspector,
that prior
that's
to
all part of
planning
this-
commission.
That's all part of the special land use.
Correct.
Mark, didn't we approve the special land use per each applicant that applied to that specific building?
My recollection is, and the record, the minutes will speak for themselves, so I don't mean to alter or interpret what took place. I attended a planning commission meeting where multiple special land use requests were submitted, And it's my recollection that every one of them was examined, both by the planner and whomever else needed to weigh in on the requests. And every one of the special land use requests was granted. And so I believe if one of them, I have to confess, I didn't match an address to the request for the transfer, but if that location to which the transfer is requested has received a special land use approval, then all of those requirements would have been met. And so the long answer to your question is that, as far as I know, every special land use request that was submitted was granted.
But the license was initially denied based on
The 750-foot buffer.
750 foot. So
Correct.
how is that different now?
Because the buffer, the applicant who has the buffer, because they were first in line, date and time stamp, they're not buffering themselves out, they're moving the 33-mile road.
Oh, okay, so it was the 33 that's asking
Yes.
to move was the problem with getting it?
Yes.
Okay, that's okay, that makes more sense. I was trying to think what was in there that would stop them from getting that license.
Yeah, you can't avoid the buffer by transferring the license.
So it doesn't
If
create
that was
any
your
other
question.
issue then with?
Pardon me?
Didn't we just approved another one? That one doesn't fall within that 750?
Nope.
Okay, I'm just making sure we're dotting all the i's and crossing the t's here, asking the questions.
Right, no, you should.
Yeah.
It's your decision. You should review it. You should make sure everything is satisfied.
And is there, the last sentence, well, not the last sentence, talks about the transfer fee. Does that apply?
Yes.
Okay. So,
Any other discussion? All right, so we have a motion on the table by Bartholomew, supported by Edwards, to approve the marijuana business license address relocation request from 14940 in 14900 33 Mile Road to 100 McLean Drive as submitted. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
One.
No.
Two in opposition? Okay. Justin, did you say aye? You voted in favor?
I didn't oppose.
Okay, I didn't hear you, so I just was making sure. Okay, motion approved, 5-0.
5-2.
5-2, excuse me. Can't read my own writing, thanks. Okay, moving on, item 10G, roads proposal. Okay, in your board packet, a bit of background. Romeo is interested in improving its municipal streets and recognizes the significance of the task at hand, both on the disruptions caused by street improvements and the burden placed on taxpayers to fund the improvements. For too long, Romeo has underfunded its streets, which has been a benefit to taxpayers, yet this underfunding has not allowed the village to adequately maintain its road network. Citizens and elected officials recognize the importance of taking action to resolve this issue. Given the level of improvements needed, the optimal strategy identified and as presented at our roads workshop meeting on March 30th, through this analysis would be an initial large investment via a $4 million bond, coupled with additional street levy of 2.0 mils. About $1 million of current fund balance in the streets fund could also be utilized to boost immediate investment in streets. This strategy provides the initial infusion of cash needed to make noticeable improvements in a 2-year period, and it establishes a long-term funding source that is forecasted to achieve the $11 million target identified by the village engineers. In summary, if following the strategy, the village would request voter approval of a 20-year street operating levy of 2 mils. This millage would raise about $350,000 a year. An operating levy of 2 mils within the limits noted previously for an authorized tax rates by the village. We would seek voter approval of a 15-year debt millage to fund a $4 million capital improvement bond. The maximum debt levy would be 2 mils. Debt levies are not subject to the 20 mil limit imposed by the general law village. The estimated annual debt service on this bond, assuming 3.5% interest, would be about $347,000. Actual levy required each year would be based on the final debt service schedule and tax base each year. After 15 years, the debt millage would expire, and we would use about $1 million of a current fund balance to kickstart the initial phase of the long-term project, including engineering studies, capital planning, and pre-funding some improvements before bond proceeds and tax revenues are received. I included in your packet the deadlines for filing road proposal, ballot initiatives. So if we wanted to be on the May 10th ballot, ballot wording would need to present it, yes, by 4 o'clock on May 10th, excuse me. So if we wanted it to be submitted on the August ballot, we need to submit wording by May 10th. If we want it to be on the November ballot, we have to submit it by August 16th. So that's the timeline for which we need to move. I don't know if this board has considered one or the other. And I believe it was recommended the funding sources would follow that red line, the blue line, $4 million initially, $350,000 year after. And then you have also one more slide, which is on page 6, the revenues that I just recapped in that same recap. So I wanted to throw this on our agenda for tonight to get some further direction from the board. How do we want to proceed with road funding? If we're all in agreement with the 2 proposals, then we can authorize legal counsel to draft some ballot language and bring it forward for approval. When I spoke with Mr. Clark, he indicated that we would probably retain Miller Canfield, who has helped write other bond proposals in the past for us. Yep. As a bonding agent. I have not reached out to them, so I don't know what they would charge us for that service, but if that's what you want me to do, that's the direction that we'll go. Just didn't want to duplicate efforts if we weren't going to consider fixing the roads either through one or other 2 methods that was presented at our last meeting. So, any thoughts, any input?
I think we need to do this. I do have a question whether we would want to have it. I mean, I'd like to move this quickly, but I don't know whether you want to have something that's going to be on an August primary, if that's going to be looked like, you know, sometimes they talk about the school board putting something through.
I honestly didn't think we would have anything ready by May 10th. Yeah. Right? If we get Miller Canfield involved and we have to draft ballot language, we have to have a special meeting to approve it. I mean, it could be done through special meetings. Obviously, it's not ideal, but it can be done.
But I would say we'd move forward and then, you know, probably have it at the general election and let the people confirm that's what they want to do. But I wanted, yeah.
So I'll make the motion that we authorize legal counsel with the assistance of Miller Canfield to draft the ballot proposal of agenda 10, item 10G for the capital improvement road funding.
I'll support.
As you stated.
By Bartholomew, support by Hart. Yes, and so that would be for 2, just to clarify, 2 separate proposals.
2
one
separate
for the
proposals.
2 mill levy and then one for the bond. Okay.
Yes.
Correct.
Yep.
Any other discussion? Any input?
I think we've been talking about this since I've been on the board, and now I don't know why we're trying to rush it when we don't have, I think we need more options. And I think we need to look at ways of maybe funding this without putting additional cost on residents and business owners. I think a complete overhaul of the streets should be looked at. I mean, we're talking about a 20-year program, and they sat up there and said that they're only good for 15 to 20 years anyways.
But it's ongoing. By the time you get there, then the roads are going to be at a 6 or 7 and continually be that. So
but they're not, they discussed not even redoing some roads, just patching and filling. So in 20 years, when we're back again, those roads are going to be
horrible. They talked about redoing everything.
By that point. And the thing is, if we didn't have those consultants, that's what we would have done. We would have said, what's our worst road? Let's completely redo it, and let's put all our money there, and let's go there. But they've shown that that's the plan and how to do it, and that is how much money it takes to be able to do it within that time. By the time the bond is done, we'll have a sustainable, hopefully a sustainable program. I mean, who knows where everything's going, but at least it's going to bring us forward. If we had been doing that for the last 20 years, we wouldn't even be there. When I got here in 2003, our roads were awesome. You know, rollerblading on the street, I mean, they were all great, and nothing's been done for 20 years.
Oh, I thought they did a fantastic job with the information that they gave us. It's what they do. It's amazing.
I can respect that. I would just like more options, looking at additional ways of funding it instead of putting it on the residents.
I don't
I mean,
think
you got-
there are
you said-
any options. How would you think that we would raise $4
Is
million?
that town, Hidden Valley? A little town where
Right.
nothing goes wrong?
How would
How
we raise?
how did we do it last time?
We bonded for
In
it.
90s?
Yeah, and I don't think we put additional cost on residents, so I think we were paying for that out of
Well,
our.
of course
Yeah, we did.
Of course we did.
If we bonded for it, we put it on the village taxpayers, right?
That's
how it works.
I thought it was paid for out of the general. I don't,
No.
I'd like to clarify that, because we're asking residents to up a lot of money for this.
Just this one project, there's a lot of projects.
Yeah, I mean, they sat up there and said on the, $300,000 home, it was
$600.
$600 more a year. That's a lot for some people.
I agree.
It
So
is.
I would
We
just
can't
like,
s-
before we push to move this fast, let's get more options. Let's
This
look at
isn't
a
fast.
complete replacement.
I don't think you could ever afford to do that.
We did.
A complete replacement.
Isn't that
would
what
be-
we did in the 90s?
So that's gonna be like $15 million. I mean. we're
Yeah,
talking
and
about putting
you're
$5
talking
million in there.
an 11 to 12 on the current dollar, 11 to 12 million on something that's not even fixing all the roads.
I don't know.
We're late to the table on this. If we don't do anything, it's just gonna cost us more money.
Yeah, I'm not saying not do anything, but we just got information.
Well, there's a motion on the floor
on-
table that's gonna get this moving, so.
And that keeps our property values. The roads, as you're starting to get, I mean, another couple of years, it's gonna hurt our property values.
As you heard them say, right, if we do nothing, right, we will,
I'm not suggesting doing nothing.
we won't do
I'm
anything.
just
If we
let-
just levy the 2 mills, again, it's inadequate for us to even make a dent. We would just basically be,
I respect that.
fixing the worst of the
I did not like
worst.
their proposal. I did not like how they said they weren't gonna touch all the roads, they were only gonna get to some of them, some might get replaced. We didn't even know what was happening.
I did.
their proposal was that every road.
Which roads are getting redone, Nate?
Well, they have-
100%. Which
they-
ones are getting completely redone? You know? We
No,
didn't-
no,
didn't
what they
give us that
explained,
information.
was that they'll take each road, they're gonna look underground first, so if there's any underwork that has to be done, we take care of that first, because we don't wanna crack back into the roads. So it's a long process.
I respect that.
And
but
some
15 to
some
20
roads are
years
gonna
before we
take
touch
more,
stuff.
and
They
some
gave
roads
us
are gonna
some
take
method.
less.
They gave
But the
us-
goal is to pave all the streets, or do whatever we have to do to get them up to 8, 9, 10.
Right.
No, they
gave
didn't
us
say
the
8, 9,
method.
10. That was to get them, maintain them at like a 6 or 7.
What, a 6 or
Try.
7, yes. and a
Not
6
get them
or
up to an 8, 9, 10. This wasn't.
It's a process. It's
It
a
wasn't to
process.
redo it all.
But a
You
6 and
can't do
7 are
anything
good
overnight
roads.
like this. So,
I would like.
So do you have a proposal of how you want to get more information?
Yeah, I would like to look at a complete replacement, to get
By
to the roads.
doing what?
Bonding
How would
for
you, how would you like to
15
do
million?
that? I'm asking for some direction and some input. How do we get you the information that you want?
Reach out to look at
To who?
cost.
Okay, to who? I'm asking the question, I'm sorry, I'm not
Andrew.
understanding how we can work together to get you what you
Yeah,
need.
if we need to talk to Dan's or whoever that may be.
We're talking to put in $5 million into this to jumpstart it. And
Exactly.
you're saying it's not fixing all the roads. To fix all the roads is gonna, I don't know, 15 million, 20 million? It's a huge, there's no way we can chunk that off. And it would be taxpayers paying for it. This is a way that we can, it's gonna be tight, but it's affordable, and it's a plan that in 15 years, we're gonna be on top of it, and then it's sustainable. That's the key, it's sustainable.
Now, this is going out to the public to vote on, right?
eventually, yeah.
Yeah,
The public is gonna vote on this, but hopefully we give them the right information and people, give informed decisions.
I think the general election, you made, people have more time to be informed.
It's a regular
Right,
election.
yes.
It's not like
August
the
is too
school
fast.
board having it in a
It'll-
side
The
thing.
ballot language before.
It'll pass too. Just so everyone knows, it'll pass. We're taking tomorrow, it pass.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor by Bartholomew, we have support by Hart, to authorize legal counsel with the assistance of Miller Canfield to draft ballot proposal language for the levy of 2 mills for highway and ballot language for the issuance of a $4 million bond for capital street improvements.
I'm sorry, that was a question. Will we see the language that we are approving?
Yes,
right now?
the board must approve it before it's submitted to the
Just wanted
county.
to- okay.
Yes, absolutely. All right. All in favor?
Somebody's got it.
Oh, sorry.
I'm just curious, on the PACER program for the roads, how many roads here are deemed a 3 or 4 or less?
All of them.
Virtually everyone.
Pretty much all of them.
It's not possible.
It is.
I operate assisted living around the corner here at Angelica's place. I waited about 4 years, and the township has done a great job patching the holes. But I can't get my seniors in a wheelchair past the curb there. And if I go through all the roads, some of the roads aren't as bad, it's not all the roads, yeah, sure, they all need to be new, that's great. But how are we gonna determine which roads are gonna be a 1, a 2, a 3, or 4, and which ones are gonna come first? I guess, which roads would you do first?
The engineers make those decisions.
Yeah, last
They presented
month,
that the best
did
ones
you
would
watch
actually
last
be
month's
done
meeting?
first.
No, I know.
Okay, and it's online, it's on video, and you can watch it. What they explained are where our roads are, and they gave the numbers of what they see and where we were last year, or 2 years ago. So they've shown how the progression has gone. And what they've explained is they're gonna be looking at infrastructure, like trustee Nate said, that, you know, if the road needs work underneath, they may not touch that right now because sewers are gonna be going in there. So even though that might be one that they would do, but because the infrastructure needs to be done, that's gonna be a criteria that's gonna make that not maybe the road they're gonna do then. Or right after that work's done, then that road might be done because it's all torn up and they're gonna put a new road on there. So there's a lot of variables to look at the whole thing. And the key, and you really have to see, they presented for like a half hour. The key is that we keep on investing in this and we're getting each one just kind of brought up so that it takes about 15 years. But at that point, everything's gonna be a 6 or 7, which I think everybody would be comfortable that the roads are decent and it's sustainable then.
Hey, Bob, could I ask last time you were on Haddam Street?
Pardon me?
When have you walked by Haddam Street, between East Washington and East Lafayette? Have you been out there lately?
The name of the street again
Yeah,
is?
I mean,
Haddam?
Haddam, yeah, that's what I have. And every street is gonna get touched. We can't say when, because that's up to the engineers. But if you were to go back and watch the meeting where they did their presentation, you would learn pretty much all the questions you have right now that would be addressed.
and they take the politics out of it. It's engineers telling us the best way to, the plan. It's not saying,
I sent you pictures, say, an email, I didn't get a response from you. And I'm just, like I said, I just wanted to have some kind of direction because it's a huge liability, not only for me, but for you guys too. I mean, if I have people not being able to push their mother on the street to the sidewalk and there's a tip over, I mean, we're all gonna be in the same boat. Just like I said.
and that might be a
several
criteria
years-
that
within several
can bump
years,
it up on the,
You know, nothing's happened, so I was just curious, thank you.
nothing's happening on any of the roads. We're cold patching right now. That's all we're doing.
Part of the proposal that I didn't like is that, and I think, Megan, you started to say it, is that there initially we're discussing hitting the roads that were the best roads to get them maintained. And roads that may need a lot of work might not get touched for 4 or 5 years.
But you're not talking about repaving these roads. You're talking about tarring them and things like that.
I understand,
So
but-
that they're
but-
maintained at that level.
Yeah, the good roads currently, but
Yes.
the roads that currently
Because those you can get to
need-
right away. So rather than,
Exactly, so we're gonna tell the roads that need it now, you might have to wait another 4 or 5 years.
They might put 100,000 on Tilson because it's gonna keep Tilson where it's at and then, you know, work at that. It totally
you're
makes sense.
asking us to make engineers' decisions.
I'm just basing off
And
what they
you're-
told us
no,
at the presentation.
That's not what they told us.
Should have been asking them questions then while they were here.
The PACER study data is, I can certainly get you that, but that was also mentioned. And yes, every single road, there are some that are county-maintained roads in the village that aren't included in that rating, Van Dyke and St. Clair, for instance. But every single road within the village is rated a 3 or below, based on the PACER study. And I'm happy to get you that data if you want. You did send me an email today. I apologize, I haven't had a chance to get back to my desk this afternoon in preparation for this meeting. I did take your phone call, and we spoke at length this morning. And so I appreciate the follow-up that you did send to me an email, so.
But really, watch last month's meeting.
Yes.
Be a lot more informative than what we're recalling from our
Absolutely.
top of our heads.
Right from, they did a great job. So, and then the other thing that I wanted to point out was that they actually told us most communities don't have anything to put out to get started with, and yet we have $1 million that, we were able to put out there to get a lot of the engineering and stuff done, so, and in a sense, we're blessed.
But I will speak with HRC, as I indicated today, that there's a small TAP grant that may be available that we could apply for Haddam Street. There's also Hart Street. We looked last year at Croswell Street, a matching grant fund, and so I was going to ask if that was something that we could pursue, but it's not an immediate fix, right? Getting the grant, making the application, receiving the money, having it engineered, and actually getting a crew on the street to do the repairs, it's at least 12 to 15 months out. We've been working on the pedestrian crosswalk project for 2 years from the time we submitted the application, got the money, did the engineering, bid it out. That's how long the process typically takes. So I'm, again, happy to send the DPW back over there to see if there's a way that they can assist, because I agree, we need to, make sure that our residents are safe and our families are safe getting in and out of that facility, and I'll work with you the best that I absolutely can. I consider, this very serious, and we'll look at every opportunity to make sure that it's addressed as timely as I possibly can.
I'd like to meet with you, sir, at your property, just to see what you got. Yeah, before you leave, make sure you give me your information.
Okay, so we had a motion on the table by Bartholomew, support by Hart. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? One opposed? Okay.
Who was that?
Parker. Okay. Motion carries 6-1. All right, next up, item 10H, our budget dates. Bit of background, the Board of Trustees annually holds one or more budget workshops to review a draft budget as prepared by Clerk Trapp with items included from our goals and objective project list. This is the opportunity for the Board of Trustees to provide input and request considerations for adjustments prior to the presentation of the upcoming fiscal year draft budget at a regular monthly council meeting and public hearing. So I have spoken with Danielle from Plant Moran, and she has indicated she would be available to join us on Wednesday, April 27th. She's suggesting or asking if we could meet at 6 p.m. And then proposed an alternative date of Tuesday, May 3rd at also 6 p.m.
Having just one meeting?
Yes, just one meeting.
One budget meeting? Mm-hmm. You feel we can do that?
I do, yep. The way that we reviewed it last year, where we really weren't reviewing every single line item, but certainly she will prepare and offer you the line item detail, but we can go over just the department and then the entire fund budget level.
Well, Wednesdays are bad for me, so I would want to go with the May 3rd date or she also has May 9th on there.
Yes, okay.
So I would vote for May 3rd or 9th.
Try the earlier one in case something comes up.
Good idea.
Right, the 9th was concerning to me because we would like to post and publish the public hearing for our regular meeting of May 16th. And if we meet on the 9th, it may not give them enough time to revise whatever they need to revise and get it drafted for budget or board packets to go out. But I think we can do.
I can't do Wednesdays either, if that's.
Okay.
Tuesday the 3rd, we're looking
So
at.
Tuesday's the 3rd.
Tuesday the 3rd
And that was be at 6 also?
at 6 o'clock, if that's agreeable.
That works.
I'm good.
Okay. So I'm going to make a motion to set the date for the fiscal year 2022-23 budget workshop to Tuesday, May 3rd at 6 p.m.
Support.
with an alternate date of May 9th, should be needed, if needed.
It was the 9th, what was it, the same day?
That was also
It's a
a Monday. Mhm.
Okay, you were the only one that had a problem with that. Okay, I'll support.
Yes, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. May 3rd. Next up, we have item 10I, intellectual property policy. Just a bit of information, background. The Village of Romeo is committed to protecting its own intellectual property, such as information, processes, and logos from infringement. Romeo's intellectual property includes copyrighted and uncopyrighted works. With that intent in mind, President Malzahn, on behalf of Romeo, submitted to the Library of Commerce the round red and yellow logo as shown above on March 28, 2022, requesting it be officially copywritten, and that submission has been approved. So supporting that action, I drafted the attached intellectual property policy. I had it reviewed by legal counsel and present it to you for adoption tonight.
Make a motion to adopt this intellectual property policy.
Support.
We have a motion by Bartholomew. We have support by Edwards. Any discussion?
This copyright, that means the village owns this logo? The village does?
Yes. It was submitted on behalf of the Village of Romeo.
I have a question, Ms. Clark.
Yes.
So, according to what Mr. Parker just said here, we're all employees of the Village of Romeo, trustees?
That's a more complicated question, I think, than you intended it to be. As trustees, you're employees for some reasons, but you're not for other reasons. And so it's not so easily answered to say whether you're employees or not. Basically, trustees are not employees. You are elected officials.
Right. Well, let me rephrase it. As elected officials, here, this logo, Village of Romeo, that Christine just got approved here, is any one of these body people up here can use this logo, or does it specifically have to be used by the main office?
The logo is owned by the village. The copyright protects the reproduction or the use of the logo. And so the logo cannot be used by anybody without the village's permission. So then the question becomes, who or what is the village? And the answer to that question is you're all the village. So if you're asking me, can you use the logo, you as a trustee, can you use the logo? The answer is, under this policy, not without permission, because the policy would apply to everybody, and particularly it's your policy.
Correct.
So it would apply to you.
So you can't, no individual can use the policy unless they get permission from each one of these board members.
No, that's not what the policy says. The policy says no one can use it without the prior written consent from the village clerk and or village president, or on appeal of denial to the village council. And so if you wanted to use the logo, or anybody, somebody off the street, it might be an advertiser, you don't know who might want to use it, written request would be submitted to the village, and either the clerk or president would say, yes, you can use it, or no, you can't. And if the denial is given, or that's the result of the request is a denial, then it would have to be appealed to the village council, and you would get to decide whether somebody can use it.
So the members' usage then is basically the clerk and the president gives you approval?
The way the policy is written, that is correct.
Okay.
And the purpose of it is, you don't want to have let's say a trustee, for instance, use the logo to give an implied that is an official position of the village. It's very common. I mean, it's, you know.
If it's used, my understanding with copywriting anyways, if a college student wanted to use this for a report or educational purposes, we really don't have any, we're not going to go after them.
Well,
you know, if someone
For instance,
pulled it off
the
Google.
guy that made the presentation, he put our logo, he put his logo up here, and he's saying this is for this, logo.
About a month and a half back, we responded to a couple of calls on North Bailey Street, and people had received a notice that they thought was from the Village of Romeo, had that logo on it, telling them to take their Christmas lights down. was a complete misrepresentation, it wasn't a Village of Romeo doing it, but somebody used it to misrepresent.
To
they were-
imply.
They were an official from the Village of Romeo telling them to comply with these, take your Christmas lights out. Yeah, if you get your Christmas lights up in April, take them down.
And none of us as individual trustees have
Right.
that authority. As a
Yeah, so-
group, as a board, we do,
And
but
at
as
that
an
time, we couldn't
individual,
do
we
anything
don't.
because there was no copyright on it.
Okay.
So.
Thank you for that. All right, so any other questions or discussion? Otherwise, I'll make a motion to approve the proposed intellectual property policy as presented.
Yeah, I think you already.
Oh.
We did it.
Yes, we did, I'm sorry, Bartholomew and Edwards. So then all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Opposed?
Okay. 6-1 with Fowler. Okay, item 10J, we are almost to the end here, folks. Bit of background information. Paploma Companies presented to Village Council in June of 2020 a request to vacate the alley adjacent to his proposed development. Village Council voted July 20th, 2020 in favor of vacating the alley in its entirety from Newberry to the 1N2 East easement. A subsequent public hearing and ratification vote was held on August 17th, 2020. However, the Macomb County Register of Deeds requires a formal resolution be adopted by the governing body that has been and that notarized document be presented to its office for official processing. So Mark, in his record keeping, and us scouring all of our records, could not find the formal resolution that would have been presented. I've provided to you copies of both of those meetings, of the votes, and I've provided you a copy of the original submission, a diagram depicting of the alley. Originally, the proposed portion was that small little area highlighted by the dotted line on your drawing, but I believe through resolution, we vacated the entire alley, which you see highlighted on that map area. So,
So are you saying if we'd had electronic documents, we could have maybe looked it up?
maybe, yes. It would have saved me a lot of time from going back and finding all
Okay.
these minutes, absolutely.
Nice plug for the Rob.
The board voted to vacate, we
Yes.
just don't have proof.
We do not have the formal resolution that's required.
Well, you have proof that the difficulty is, and this is really more of a, if you will, a housekeeping thing. You voted twice to vacate the alley. Once, as the statute requires, the general law, the portion of the General Law Village Act, first you voted to do it, to declare that action. So then that triggered a publication, there was a notice, you had that. And the action that was taken was done in August of 2020. The difficulty is, if the minutes had described the alley in its particulars that was being vacated, a certified copy of the minutes could have been recorded. But if you look at the portion of the minutes that Mrs. Malzahn provided to you, it confirms the alley was vacated, and that drawing, I believe, is what this board discussed and approved. Unfortunately, the drawing wasn't included in the minutes, and the minutes don't include the legal description such that it could be recorded. So the purpose of the resolution really, and it's stated in there, if you act on it tonight, is just to confirm what you've already done so it can be recorded. The statute requires it be recorded not only in the Macomb County Office of the Macomb County Register of Deeds, but also because it's in Bruce Township, the Bruce Township assessor has to be notified as well.
So, since that was done, and now we're verifying, making it official, has anything changed with those lots? Ownership? I mean, would anything that we would do tonight affect anything?
The only thing that, nothing changed, well, the car wash sold, and I believe there's another pending sale on that car wash. But what really sort of alerted us to this deficiency in process is that was some land clearing. That Vito was clearing the trees back there, and one of the property owners on Harriet Street called the village office and said, what's he doing and why is he doing it here? And we said, well, we vacated that alley. And she said, well, I haven't been notified from the assessing department. If there was a vacating of the alley, then part of that property was then assigned to her parcel ID as well, because the alley split down the middle, goes to all of the adjoining properties right down the middle. And so that's what sort of started the hunt for, okay, what did we do in 2020? Where's the documentation? And we've since tried to recreate that and can't come up with this resolution.
So I'd like to make a motion that we move forward with approval of agenda item 10J, the Bailey Alley vacate resolution as described.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion by Bartholomew, we have support by Poznanski. Any other discussion?
Now, with this, what will be the proper documentation to support this resolution? Even a map too?
Yes, my recommendation is if the resolution is adopted, that Catherine at some point apply her seal to it, and with the drawing attached, and that should be recorded in the Macomb County Register of Deeds office. I can either do that or I can advise Catherine how to do that. It's more of a ministerial thing, but it's a very important thing.
Since you know exactly what to do and what steps to go through, if you don't mind, can you do it and then advise Catherine?
I'd rather have Catherine learn how to do it.
Yeah, she did it successfully with the last time, so
She's
that really,
recorded
it wasn't really an issue, it was just that this resolution, sort of fell through the proverbial crack. So we have a motion by Bartholomew, we have support by Poznanski. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries 7-0. Last item, you have in your packet, item 10K, the Great Lakes Water Authority resolution. Just a bit of history, background. The issue of Highland Park unpaid water debt has recently been in the news, and many communities are addressing now how this debt has been allocated to 87 other communities, resulting in a mandated payment to Great Lakes Water Authority. Portions of Romeo are serviced by Great Lakes Water, so we are among the 87 that have been required to pay a portion of the Highland Park debt. Calculations indicate that through 2023, we will have paid $9,000. As a show of mutual support, most municipalities have adopted resolutions similar to the one in your packet, asking our Macomb County officials and state officials to take actions to end this unfair assessment. So, this is a sort of boilerplate resolution that actually came from Shelby Township. It was emailed to the municipal leaders asking us to all adopt similar resolutions. I forward that to Mark, and he changed the who, what, wheres. I think actually the wheres, all the whereases stayed the same, but just changed up the names appropriately, and it's before you for consideration.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
It's just symbolic, by the way, right? It's really, I don't know if anybody's been paying to the news. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to speak over you, Matt. But there was some talk that some of the municipalities are withholding their monthly payments to Great Lakes Water, and that's really sort of affecting their bonding ability. And we're not suggesting that. It's just symbolic that we pass this resolution in show of support with others, so.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion to pass a resolution for the opposition against paying the Highland Park debt.
Okay, we have a motion by Edwards, we have support by Poznanski. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries 7-0.
Motion to adjourn?
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Perfect, meeting adjourned at 9:47. Right? Yes, I'm surprised at that, considering.